What the holidays are, see if people can guess them.
Yeah, go.
Okay.
I believe it should be good now.
Hello.
Oh,
First time.
Okay, let's try this again.
We were just about to play charades.
Yes. Welcome back to the show.
What happened?
I don't know.
Okay.
I wonder if one of the USBs got unplugged. Because I just set it to it.
Feeks?
Welcome back, everybody. Here we go again to this fall-themed edition of Tales of the
That's the only.
Wouldn't it be funny if you killed someone and then like
That was good.
We're jumping back to just finished a battle. I was surprised. Anthony was saying, I don't usually admit when I'm surprised that you saved someone, but you did.
This guy should be dead.
This guy is
So
real close to being dead.
to survive.
But he made it. So this will be episode 55 of Peek Beneath the Veil. Anything people want to say? Shout out?
Well, thank you to Vampire Killer and FNF for pointing out that we had a sound.
Yes.
Scala, thank you.
We could have gone quite a while before that. Because the mixer's still showing. That's why I was fooled. The mixer was showing that it was coming
It's
through.
a
What a
trick.
tricky
But
bastard.
OBS in all its glory fooled us.
Wow, that's
terrifying.
the scariest part about October. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's slim pickings today, but I'm gonna make it work.
It's
I was going to say it's Slim Pickens
Slim
Day.
pickings, yeah, slim pickings.
Great actor.
No,
Rest in peace.
it is National Greasy Food Day.
Oh,
Always
okay.
a pleasure for
Yeah.
a weekend, and National Mother-in-law Day. So if you're married with a mother-in-law, so many things with mother. But in honor of Halloween coming up, because we won't see you until afterwards. Now, it's Chucky, the notorious killer doll day.
Oh, it's
Who
Chucky.
knew it
His
was a
day isn't Halloween?
It is not. It's October 25th, apparently.
Is that
like
Brad Dourif's birthday?
Oh.
Shout out to Brad
Is it?
Dourif.
Happy
who's the
birthday,
voice
Brad
of Chuck
Dourif.
Lizzie.
Oh, there you go.
It's more like the day he like gets resurrected or something, so that the movie takes place.
I've never
I
seen
like to think
Chucky
it's Brad
I
or-
will take
Okay.
a look at that on the Google on the break.
I prefer Brad Dourif's other body of work. However, if Chucky's your thing.
What's his other body of work?
Apparently, this is notorious.
So much stuff.
Billy Bibbit.
Deadwood and
Tongue.
And
One Flew
Orba.
Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Oh, he's such a
Nest.
Very baby
Cuckoo's
Brad.
That's
Nest,
Billy Bibbit,
Chucky.
I mean, same
Cuckoos.
difference, really.
So
Love a
smooth.
good
Same
cuckoo.
difference.
All right,
Wow.
we're gonna roll that intro now that we have some sound. Although the intro you would have been able to hear, just not us talking.
God, I feel sick.
We'll roll it. We'll come back and we'll dive in. We'll see you on the other side.
Happy birthday, Maggie.
Welcome back, everybody.
We all love each
Hurry up!
other.
Think about funny pun. Think about funny pun.
We really do.
Well,
In chapter 54, Breaking the Riverbank, Erland kept a low profile as he gathered the group's horses and belongings from the shed behind Crespo's tavern. Given the uncertainty over whether the authorities would be on the hunt after his run-in with Jawhotten's personal escort, Erland felt it was necessary to avoid any further forays into the 4th Precinct proper. While traveling along the road to the west, he crossed paths with Raz Pugh, who noticed Erland's sickly complexion, the result of a prior demonstration of his septic powers. Raz didn't pry into the cause, and having established a line of trust with our extermination of the Dolgons, he was willing to part with a rare kind of antidote he'd acquired from a friend at the Natural Studies Institute. Charcoal and collie pellets, familiar to Erland from both Adept Melody and Gillian Casivo. A trade was made and Erland pressed on to Bobby Tierney's farm, where an intermission was taking place before the championship round of the Tankard's Cup. Beezaura made an attempt as a fellow finalist to get the reigning champion Bourrage to open up about his name, but he was intensely focused on preparing for the race, so our inquiries would have to wait. Erland had only a few minutes to explain the potential dangers of returning to town before the competitors were called to the pitch, and since it would be unquestionably suspicious to abandon the tournament at this point, there was nothing to do but go for the gold. Doing an excellent job staving off the effects of the alcohol, Beezaura had a leg up on Graven, who was struggling to hit his marks from the get-go. Unfortunately, a couple of missed throws early on gave Bourrage a fast lead, and it wasn't until over halfway through the race that the drunkenness began to affect his accuracy. Both of our representatives made a late surge, but with the reduced number of targets for the finals, it was too little too late, and Bourrage lifted the trophy for the 4th consecutive time.
Dick. Rick.
enjoy your drinks, freak.
When the dust settled, and Bourrage was heading for his horse, Graven stopped him for a more pointed discussion, and mentioned the shackled traveler bearing the same name that we'd spotted just outside of Uranchupa. That, combined with relinquishing the recently acquired Gentle Void favor, was enough to loosen his lips, and we gained a little insight into how the Gentle Void uses civilians to cover their tracks. Apparently, when buying property or signing contracts that may be used for illicit reasons, the GV uses what they call shams, non-affiliated people who lend their name and take the fall for any crimes that might come to light. These shams are either paid handsomely for taking such a risk, or have volunteered their services to pay off a debt, and Bourrage Il Cravo was one of the latter. It wasn't quite a lead, but it was an acknowledgement that Bourrage had gotten somehow tied up with the Gentle Void, though from what we knew about his name being used in conjunction with high-profile projects like the Shaki Mountains Harvesting Yard, it remained to be seen whether as of today he was accessible, imprisoned, or even dead. At Erland's insistence that we leave the city tonight, we reluctantly obliged and set out to get far enough from Tuktu that the roaming Broken Crown patrols wouldn't bother us. After circling around the 5th and 6th precincts, we headed east and used the cover of the forest to make camp for the evening, giving most of us the chance to sleep off a belly full of ale, and giving Graven a chance to contact Kuuzni, who had no interest in entertaining a conversation about why Bourrage's name lingered in Graven's memory. The following day, we covered quite a bit of ground without incident. The forest path was peaceful, and the weather was fair. But as we got close enough to the Ackley River's north run to hear the flow of water, it came with sounds of sputtering and gasping. Foregoing caution in favor of decisive action, Safira sprinted forward to find a number of Sahuagins who appeared to have capsized a pair of wagons into the river. One lone visible survivor, making a feeble attempt to stay above the surface while the creatures forced him under. The snap decision to fire an arrow left Graven, Orba, and Beezaura scrambling to catch up while the Sahuagins readied their weapons, but it may have saved the drowning man's life, as he was able to take a couple of quick breaths while his captor was distracted. A pair of coral smashers put up a formidable fight compared to their lesser kin, and even summoned a shark to aid them. But we gave it everything we had to both fell our enemies and keep the drowning victim alive. Channeled divinity, draft jacket cocktails, animus forms, and even one node of the healing girdle that Erland had picked up in Mukmo. With slick, scaled corpses lining the shore, and a monk brought back from the brink of death by a last-second healing word, we waited to see what we might learn about the cause of the ambush, and we wondered. Had the Sahuagins attacked for a specific reason, or was this simply a raid of opportunity against careless travelers? Was there anything left to salvage from the overturned caravan? And just like they were the party's last two vying for the Tankard's Cup, who between Beezaura and Graven would come to be the last remaining member of the No Death Saving Throws Club? We find out now on chapter 55 of A Peek Beneath the Veil.
This table's cursed. This table's cursed.
I'm coursing with constitution.
Yeah. Bubbly constitution.
Oh god, okay.
An array of bloody streaks drifts quickly downriver and stretch thin after colliding against rocks and reeds until they disappear amidst the chop. The amphibious corpses that line the shore are animated by the water pushing up against them, but the only signs of life beyond the party come from the man lying face up in the inch or so of water just above one of the sunken wagons. His short, light brown hair is plastered to his forehead, and his tunic has been torn in so many places it's mostly just shredded trails of fabric that cling to his shoulders and chest. He's human, and young, perhaps in his early 20s, with rough, calloused hands and a pair of waterlogged Caligave boots. Even with the small bit of healing he's received, he's barely a step out of unconsciousness, a drooping eyelid, an unfocused gaze, and a mixture of blood and saliva running from the corner of his mouth. He sort of, I think Erland sort of had him, not quite in your lap, but you were kind of pulling him up right out of the water. Yeah, so you kind of have him sort of propped up just a little bit. And it's like, the caravan's pretty steady. It's not like sloshing around, but it has a little bit of sort of rocking motion to it as there's a little bit of weight on it. Safira's also there. The three of you are on top of the caravan. The rest of you are by the shoreline.
I'm going to start to sit down right on the edge of the shore and everyone stay within my sight. I can heal us all.
Erland, are you alright?
With healing.
And I'm going to start to just do my prayer of healing.
Sure.
here.
How long does that take?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything happening during this time? Are you guys sort of waiting? Feel free to chat a little
You
bit.
guys, yeah.
Can I can I see if the guy has anything on him?
Sure. Give me an investigation check.
Oh my god.
And I also want to see how he's doing. Like,
You're walking down.
I'm looking for
Checking his pulse in his pockets.
Yeah.
that's the best place to find it, right? I want to see if he has anything on him, or if he has any specific wounds that might be either from the Sahuagins or otherwise.
Okay, sure. Give me an investigation.
It matters not. That one.
The only thing you can really tell, it doesn't take long to give a quick look over. His clothing is so shredded that even if he had something like in a pocket somewhere, it easily could have fell out in the water. So you don't see anything, but again, there's not much to see. So in terms of wounds, he's got blood coming out of his mouth. It looks like if he was hit a number of times, it wasn't with a bladed weapon. You don't see a lot of blood. He might have some sort of contusions on the body, but yeah, not a lot of like free-flowing blood, other than some coming out of his mouth.
Then I'm just gonna sort of we've had this happen before, so I just want to like sort of support him so that if he like jolts to life, he doesn't like bolt or anything like that.
Sure.
And I imagine prayer of healing is something that like he slowly gets healed over the course of the 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see him sort of start to recuperate. Even now, like he's moving a little bit. You can tell that you can see it kind of drilling, but not. He's sort of still too weak to say something at the moment. But
Orba's gonna put her bag down next to where Graven's concentrating. Beezaura, come with me, and I'm gonna like lower myself into the water and try to see if anybody's in the carriages or wagons that needs help.
Sure. So, give me. Are you ducking under the surface of the water?
Will that? I don't know how his healing.
I need to see you. I can see within
I mean, if you
range.
stay just at the surface or just below it, I mean, the water's pretty clear.
Okay.
But if you like swim down to look, because the wagons have been like turned over, so the bottom of the wagon is at the top.
So the wheels are up with us.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. It looks like some of
So
them
we
have
need
fallen
to like
off.
swim down.
To look into the wagon, you'd have to swim into the water.
Sharks.
If I see Orba kind of going towards that, like stay within sight.
Okay.
Give me a perception check as you look under the water.
20. Dirty 20.
As you sort of just duck your head under the surface, still saying, just under the surface of the water gives Graven still a view of you, as the water isn't too choppy from here. And you see a couple of things. It looks like there was 2 wagons, at least 2 that are left here. You don't know if another one's gone. There's 2 wagons in the water. They look to be, now that you're looking under the surface of the water as opposed to above it, covered in what look to be small sea urchins. These little dark purple, almost black in color, and slightly larger than a fist. So a little squishy ball, and then it has a bunch of little pins sticking out, sharp little spines. Like kind of, at least the wagons are covered in at least 8 to 10 of them each, like sort of in different spots on the wagon. And it does look like in order to get into the wagons, they do have a door on it. It might be hard to open while it's submerged, but it does have a window as well. You could swim down and go through the window if that would require going deeper into the water. But
An open window, not like a glass.
no, like an open window. Yeah. And that's all you see from here. You
No.
don't see any people.
Great, okay. I'll come back up and, well, it doesn't seem like there's anybody else in danger. I wouldn't mind taking a closer look at the wagons, but I will wait until Graven's business has ended.
When he's finished, I'll go with you.
Yes, I would be careful. There's some kind of spiky underwater creature kind of clinging to the surfaces of the wagon, so just be careful when you're touching it, alright?
Yes.
Now that Orb said that, Graven and Safira, give me nature checks.
You're welcome.
I was concentrating.
Useless. I am so
17.
useless. Oh my god. 3! Good thing you're useful.
You haven't fought Sahuagins a lot during your time, but having seen them before, even on this journey, and just sort of knowing sort of about them biologically, they do leave behind sometimes booby traps, places where like natural booby traps. You haven't heard of this urchin specifically, but it might be, they might like flare out at you when you get close to them. That isn't uncommon for Sahuagins to leave behind little...
Exercise caution around those. Sahuagins, they aren't just all about frontal attacks, they could have left traps of some kind.
Natural traps?
Yes.
Are they intelligent enough to know, to sort of understand targets? They wanted
they're
this man
attacking?
dead. They wanted this man dead.
I think he knows.
They have little sort of tribe societies. They're not like intelligent. It's possible that they could lock in on a specific target if they felt that he was a particular threat. Again, looking at the size of these wagons, you assume that this man was not driving these wagons alone.
No.
So they very well could have just killed the others and he was the last one left.
Right.
That's possible.
But they don't like hold grudges. It's not like it's not like
I-
Sahuagins 10 years ago. This guy killed a Sahuagin family, and
yes,
they
no, they
remember-
don't have that kind of cultural.
Yeah.
Didn't we discover that they were territorial, though?
They
Yeah.
can be territorial.
Okay.
That, and it wouldn't be like, I'm going to go to the Sahuagins and hire some Sahuagins
No,
to...
definitely
Yeah,
do
they
that.
don't like...
Is there... Do you have any knowledge if there's a way to trigger the trap from a safe distance? Like if I use a spell and try to poke one or something?
I would say keep your distance, yes.
Should we maybe wait until the man
Yes, of course.
can...
Say something to us.
Yes. Alright. I'll get my back.
Graven's about halfway through. You can see a little bit of the kind of light pouring. It's sort of moving tendrils of light towards each of you, and you feel a little bit of the... Go ahead and roll for the healing of it.
Yeah. Come on.
Okay.
So what's the range? I'm sure you're within range.
Within, anyone I choose within sight, and it's up to 6, so it's us 5 and him. Just to make sure. Yeah, up to 6 creatures of your choice you can see within range.
Right? Go ahead and roll for me.
Everybody got bombs pretty good, right?
15 plus 3. 18
I don't even have that much.
18
So he does go bolting up, right?
I feel great.
Oh my god.
I'm back! Oh, we're back!
It's the shirt.
I actually can't even get healed
So
all
that's
the way
full?
back up.
Yeah, you just
I'm
go to
Did it
full.
pull everyone?
Back up to full.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that hard for me.
Am I up to full? Yeah. Oh, best
Hey,
spell
3
ever.
to
So as
spare.
Graven's kind of muttering and the light tendrils are going out, you feel the burst of energy through you, a little bit of your sort of bruises getting a little less sore, some of the nicks and cuts closing up on the surface of your skin. And you feel the energy return to you. And as that's happening, you can see, it doesn't happen instantly, but over that sort of time, you see his like eyes kind of coming back into focus a little bit.
As I see him coming back, I'm going to sort of say, they're gone, you're safe, we're friends.
He kind of looks around. He's sort of sitting there on the top. It's rocking back and forth. He looks by the river and sees the 3 of you standing kind of by the river and the 2 closer. Was I the last one?
I think so, sir.
And he like smiles a little bit, but not in a like malicious way, in a like sort of taking in the situation and just being sort of overwhelmed by it a little bit. It sort of even almost chuckles a bit. And we were so close. So close.
So close to what?
Where are you going?
Took to. We'd found one.
One what?
We were gonna be set for life.
What was it?
We were out hunting for giant snails in the eastern mangroves. The eastern mangroves it's on the map that you guys saw of the roots of the eastern mangroves.
Oh.
It's further east towards the coast on the sort of red coastal trail. Eastern mangroves. We came across an overgrown hollow hidden from sight. We cut our way through, hoping for some kind of animal den where we could set a trap, nest of eggs to collect. But what we found was so much better. A myconid, a fully grown, untouched adult myconid. We made a plan to capture it, sell it in Tuktu, start a bidding war maybe. Never work again.
Did it sink?
We had it locked up in one of the wagons.
We were traveling along the river and we never had a chance to defend ourselves. The Sahuagins camouflaged well in the water. They used ropes and hooks and they pulled the wagons. They toppled into the water, spears flying through the air, splashing chaos. The last thing I saw before being struck by a hammer was 2 of them prying the door open to the wagon with the myconid in it.
They seemed drawn to it.
If not, they knew a valuable resource when they saw it. When I came to, I didn't know how much time had passed. I was foolish. I should have waited longer. I started to check for other survivors, but they'd left a few spotters behind. They dragged me to the river and I'd nearly given in when I heard an arrow connect with the wood.
He kind of looks over to where Safira's arrow's kind of stuck into the underside of the wagon there.
Thank you.
Who's the we that you're speaking of?
It's just a bunch of fishermen from Nether's Nook. We go into the mangroves, we hunt, bring back resources. A simple life. We could have lived our entire life in luxury with that one myconid. And we almost made it.
Did they get it out of the cage?
They'd opened the door when I got knocked out. Unless you saw it, I assume they took it.
Sorry, the part about them being from Nether's Nook fishermen, does that seem true to me?
Make an insight check.
23.
Yeah, he's sort of quiet and sort of solemn in his story retelling. It certainly doesn't give an indication that's not the case. So.
Nether's Nook and the mangroves are along the Eastern Coast Road, but we find you along the Ackley Grove Road. Why?
We didn't want to travel back through Nether's Nook. Go through Gentle Void territory.
Not with the myconid in your carriage, anyway.
Who are you planning on selling it to?
I know a couple of people in Tuktu.
What are their names?
Gives you the name. Bulos Mangold. He's a fisherman in the 5th district.
I'm not.
You weren't expecting names that easily?
Names! Oh god!
Give me the names!
You're giving me names?
Bulos Mangold. And Mac Sharifa. It's in the 6th district.
Mac or Max?
Mac with a C. Mac Sharifa. Not names that you guys have heard.
They're in, sorry, which district?
Bulos is in the 5th and Mac in the 6th.
Is it the 6th?
Yes. They're both businessmen of sorts. I thought they might be able to put us in touch with someone who might be interested.
Are they GV?
They might know someone who was. We just didn't want to be so far from somewhere and have the myconid discovered.
Why 2 carriages?
The other carriage was carrying our supplies. I don't know if anything's left. You're welcome to it if you'd like. It's probably washed away, but feel free to take a look.
You had horses, I assume.
Yes, the wagons and the horses we took on loan from the Gentle Void in Nether's Nook. We thought for sure we'd be able to pay them back with the money we made from the myconid.
Is there an active call out to find myconids right now?
Not that I've heard, just that.
But then why do you believe that you would get rich off of this?
Myconid extract is everywhere. It's so popular. It's expensive. I assume just like if you told someone where a gold vein was, it's valuable. We had a gold vein, but a vein of myconid extract, not of gold.
And you found this particular myconid in Nether's, in the Eastern Mangroves, you said. Describe how you found them.
The myconid?
You said it was in a cave of some sort.
Yeah, a den, sort of, yes, it is.
And it was alone?
Yes, we didn't see another. If we had, we probably would have tried to take it as well.
You do know what they do to the Myconids, don't you?
Yes.
And you said you were searching for snails.
Yes. Giant snails are frequent in the mangroves. They sell for good meat. The shells are valuable as well.
The Sahuagin seemed intent on killing you, not just robbing you. Did you do something to them?
I've not known Sahuagins to keep survivors.
Do you have family back home?
Yes.
Is
But
your-
I'll not go back there.
Why not?
The money that we owe the Gentle Void for the wagons and the horses. I can't go back.
How much is it?
Over 250 gold more? That would take years to pay back as a fisherman.
What is your name?
Clemens.
Where will you go, Clemens?
To Tuktu. And then probably further west, I'm ashamed to say.
Why are you ashamed to say it?
Running from your debts is not a noble pursuit.
I don't know, I think we all have debts.
Are you feeling alright to stand up, sir?
I am surprised at how good I feel, considering you are powerful in magic. Should have hired you to guard the wagon.
Which of these carriages was the Myconid in originally?
This one, he looks down. The other one had our supplies. As I said, it's probably not much, just bedrolls, simple weapons. We did also get on loan a couple of healing potions. We didn't want the Myconid to die on our way, so we borrowed those as well.
It's alright with you, we'll be taking those.
Yes, I don't plan on looking for them. I don't know if you know this already, but Sahuagins leave behind booby traps sometimes.
Yes, we're familiar.
How close can you get to the traps without setting them off?
It depends on the kind of trap.
I spotted some that were a dark color, spiky, attached to the surface.
You leave those in the water sometimes. You can get probably within 5 feet of them, any closer than that, and they might sense you. They only work underwater. Your disruption of the current moves the spines, and they are able to detect your presence.
Could you perhaps levitate them out?
No. There's like 20 of them.
No, the entire carriage.
Oh! Can I do that?
We could try ranged attacks.
What do you
Yes, but if it's-
do? You
if
do
it
anything
was-
for work other than try to find things to sell?
Fish. Until we found this Myconid. It had been years since we had any ideas of greater business. Life is simple in Nether's Nook for the most part.
Was the Myconid reacting negatively to the sunlight coming into the wagon?
We kept him covered most of the time. We know that they're disrupted in the sunlight. They aren't.
I find it interesting that you say him and not it, despite your intention to sell it.
Yes.
Bit of a moral conundrum, isn't it, then?
It is, yes.
But who could say no to all that gold, right?
Erland.
It's hard to say no.
How will your family get on without you?
I don't believe the debts will transfer to them, as far as I know. If I never return, I won't follow them.
And if you never return, will there be food on the table?
I have a brother. He's younger than me, but soon.
Can I just pull Orba aside?
Sure.
Orba.
Mm.
Do you think this man has his good intentions?
Well, I believe his morality is a little clouded when it comes to certain things, but he seems like an okay guy.
How much gold do you have left?
Excuse me?
How much gold do you have?
I have gold. You want to give this man your gold?
I don't know. I hate to see his entire life ruined.
I mean, I
He did a
understand.
lot just for me, so I didn't know if I could ask everyone to just chip in a bit.
I don't know if we could pay off his whole debt, but at least giving him something to get him safely to a town.
Somewhere where he can maybe make his own, and then go back. The rest, anyway.
Yes, or at least live. Yes.
I'm willing to give, I guess, at least 50 gold.
Alright, let me see what I have.
As they kind of pulled aside for a moment.
There was one other thing in the wagon with the supplies. I don't know if it's ruined at this point. There was a map that we found. It was... One of our men went to take a piss in the woods and found it jammed into a tree knot. We don't know what it's from or what it means.
Where did your man find this? Along the Ackley Grove path or towards the eastern coast?
Earlier this day. It wasn't far from me.
Can you describe where you found it?
Yes, it sounds like it might be a couple hours, like, directly east.
Do you
So
remember
it wouldn't be exactly where you guys are headed. It's all off the road a little bit.
Directly east. Oh, okay, so sort of splitting, like somewhere in between.
I can hear right then.
All right.
It didn't have any markings on it where it came from.
No.
Or a name.
No, it was in a leather sort of tube case, so it might still be alright if you find it. But I don't know, and I don't know what it means.
What made it significant enough to keep it and not trash it?
The map case seemed nice. Seemed to be of some value.
All right, describe exactly any distinctive trees, any distinctive outcroppings where you found the map.
My best advice would be to try and follow the markings of the wagon wheels of our caravan. Distinct markings of the tree, they all look the same for the most part.
Describe the myconid to me.
Had a brown cap. Sort of medium brimmed. I'm not sure what else about it.
How did it react to all of you?
It seemed scared when we entered the den. They sometimes release a gas when you get close. Sort of distress spore. It did, but we anticipated this. We made sure that our mouths and noses were covered when we went in.
So, to be clear, the myconid was removed prior to the carriages being sunk?
Yeah, they were toppled over into the water as they were sinking. They were opening the door, yes.
I trust.
At that, Erland, I've been sort of near the guy. I'm going to sort of lay him down. I just want to get back onto the land.
Cradling him this whole time. It's just like a little 5-foot hop
Yeah.
from the carriage.
If I kind of really hone in, even put my hand down to the earth or something, can I try and see if I feel any of the distress signals that I'm sort of familiar with?
Sure. Make a nature check.
Are we back over at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
So Erland hopped across, so he's now very close. 4. You knowing a few sort of signs of possibly what to look for, given that you've been around creatures that have been affected by it in some way, you really catch no trace. It's definitely possible that being in the water sort of nullified its kind of, they have kind of a film of skin that might have kind of washed off, or he said he got knocked out, came to, and then they started, so it could have been hours since it's been here, so you don't catch a trace of anything, but
Sir,
Yes.
I unfortunately know what it's like to owe a big debt to someone very important. So,
It's very scary.
no matter if you go back there or have to start anew, I'd like to help. So, and I give him 50 gold.
He holds his hand out. He takes it, and he sort of takes it, and he holds it a little closer, and he looks at it, and he... Thank you.
I trust on your newfound lease on life you will stay away from black market dealings and products.
If you found a carrot that was worth thousands of gold, would you not try to sell it?
Look, I don't fault you for picking it up, but I will warn you that dealing with myconids, with extract, with anything in this realm ever again, it's not going to bring you riches, it's going to bring you this again and again. I promise you that.
If you tell the story of this day at any point, leave us out of it.
Yes, of course. Yes.
I'm gonna be looking to see if any of your supplies have survived.
Take anything that
Well-
you find.
I was going to say, in the hopes that I do find something, Orba's gonna give 20 gold.
Yeah, I
Graven's got big eyes at this point, like,
Guys, so
yes, no.
If there's
Keep track of how
healing
much you
potions,
Yeah.
Then they are ours.
they were his.
And so then Safira is going to kind of look at him, and she has sort of like 20 gold in her hand, and no myconids. Not again.
No, Mike.
And I hand him
See a little bit of shame in his eyes, but he can't bring himself to refuse given his sort of situation. You can tell that he'd like to not take it, but that might not be an option.
Use it to get back with your family, I guess.
I'll see if I can buy some supplies and start chipping away at the debt.
You're young. You've got time.
Thank you.
Do you need any food? I know Tuk-Tu is relatively close, but...
If I start walking now, I should probably get there late in the night. That should be fine. Thank you.
Orba's gonna give him a ration.
And again, he pauses at first, but then sort of takes it.
Gonna need strength, sir.
Sorry if I caused you any offense by taking the creature.
It's alright. Now go if you want to make it.
Yes,
Be safe.
thank you.
He sort of slowly steps kind of over the gap and to the other side, gives you guys kind of one look back, and then kind of slowly moves off in the direction. So you guys are here by the sort of side of the river, wagons are overturned.
Erland, aren't you good underwater?
No, I'm
Oh.
terrible.
I forgot.
I do.
30 seconds.
I can hold my breath for like 30 seconds.
I
do.
Jump really fast.
Actually, you, Graven, and I are going to
I still have a potion of water breathing though, so
She
I
just
could
wanted
use
you to
that.
say that. Erland, aren't you good? Oh, you're terrible.
You suck, and you didn't give the guy anything? Oh, that's right. Okay.
Taking a bath is dangerous. I could use a potion of water breathing and stay underwater for an hour.
I don't know if that's necessary.
We have to deal with these traps first anyway.
And
Well, can you not levitate the entire?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going
It
to...
nullifies
say
the traps.
or what?
What?
It nullifies the traps.
Yes, but then we have a wagon that's
Right, but
floating
we
200
still have
feet
then the
in the
problem of
air.
trying to
and we
access
can't
the
access
wagon
it.
that-
I was thinking.
just float it like 2 feet in the air so I
okay.
can jump into it.
I would,
Erland, she
if
doesn't
that was an option.
want to. I was thinking since I
am the wizard here.
Yes,
You're
I'm
a
not-
monk
yes.
who punches things.
Yes.
And I cast spells.
Okay.
Oh, you stick to your area of
I
expertise.
If someone gets a spike in the eye, I'm just suggestions here.
Okay.
We don't
Okay.
need to get so passionate about it.
I was thinking, since I am clearly the smallest, I can get down there and close without possibly hitting anything.
Well, he said that the currents in the water move the spikes or whatever, and that triggers the mechanism. So maybe I really do think if we can get it, you have an idea.
I have an
Orba
idea.
has an idea.
And I'm gonna go to the water, and I'll cast Mage Hand. Can I see a?
Has everyone kind of moved to the riverbank as opposed to on top of
Sure.
the... Okay, sure.
I would stand maybe just a foot or two back. Can I get a view of any of these?
There's a
urchins?
couple that are kind of just under the surface of the water, but when you dipped your head under, it looked like they were kind of...
Sure.
Some of them are deeper.
Sure, just to like get an idea and a perspective. I'll stay on the shore and cast Mage Hand and try to like manipulate the water with it. If I can like wave the water with the Mage Hand.
Okay. Can mage hands go in water?
Ooh.
I don't know, but I
Whoa.
know it can like open curtains and door handles, so it can like manipulate.
Why does everything say
I can use the
creature?
hand to manipulate an object, open another door.
Why doesn't it say target? It says creature.
But you're literally just looking to see if it can exist underwater.
Yes.
I don't know the answer to that.
If it doesn't say it can, does that mean it can
What?
do it?
I'm gonna say you can.
Okay.
It can't go through. It can't go through a solid, which is why the rule is a little up to interpretation. I'm gonna say that you can. No, I know it's not solid, but it's also not air either. So it's quite in between.
Not again.
Literally.
Alright, so
Yes.
let's say the nearest one. I'm going to try to stay as far back, but keeping vision on the...
What is the range on mage?
30 feet.
30 feet. I'm gonna say that it acts like difficult terrain for the mage hand.
Okay.
So you could put it 15 feet underwater. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
if you were right at the surface of the water, you could put it 15 feet down, but
Copy
it's not
that.
30 feet down.
Okay. Am I able to do it for at least the closest... that
Certainly
I
for
see?
the ones that are closer to the surface.
Yeah, let's see
yes.
how it works.
Sure. You sort of hand appears sort of just at the surface of the water, and you plunge it in, and you go in, and as soon as it kind of gets close to one of those things, it kind of, and you see a couple of the spines move. It doesn't come up above the surface of the water, but you set one of them off.
And are there still spikes on it now?
It certainly looked like it shed some of its larger ones, so it looks meeker compared to the other ones. I mean, it looks like it.
Oh, you can do multiple.
I mean, you don't know that for sure. It looks like it shot the sort of bigger, sort of more threatening spines.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go back. Well, it looks like a movement of the water did set off the trap. I see smaller spikes in the one that I set off, but hopefully maybe it takes some time before it can be triggered again. If there is a way to manipulate the water into great vibrations.
Oh, that's
from a
an idea.
distance,
Wait, what
so
if
we
we
just set
cast
them
one
off
of
at
your
once?
earthquake spells? No, really.
Orba opens her spell.
Can I look around for a really long stick?
Sure. Give me an investigation.
Get the stick, boy. Get the
How
stick.
many more sticks in my bag?
Stick, don't give us
Stick.
I dumped all the sticks.
Investigation? 8.
8. You find one that's, yay long. Again, you could probably poke some of the ones close to the surface. You would not be able to get the ones deeper in.
Or, Mr. Graven has a shield. If somebody wants to hold the shield and go under and trigger it and use the shield as hopeful protection, I don't know. I'm sure getting hit by one of these things isn't so bad. It's just when there's 15 or 20 of them going off at once.
Before
I have
we
my
go
shield, too.
under there, let's do how often can you use that?
I can
hand?
use it as often as I like. It's more a matter of I'm not going to be able to reach most
If
of
there
them.
was like a big, shake of some kind, do you think that would set a bunch of them off at once?
Theoretically, yes.
So then maybe that's an idea. We do something like that before, and then have someone go in with a shield.
I would give it. We
What if
did
I
already
jump on
have.
top of it, hold the edge, and try to...
Oh, I thought you meant like...
That's what I thought too. I was like, Graven, why don't you just move around a lot, like right near it?
We already had a coral smasher,
tip
a
it.
beowulf, myself. There was already a significant number of creatures on this battling around.
Yeah,
I
it
don't know where
didn't
the
budge
shake is
too
going
much.
to.
Yeah, it did, there was multiple creatures on it. I mean, it seems like it rocks a little bit, but it's pretty jammed.
There's some woods fairly near us, right?
Yeah.
Could I go over to... I want to go back to where there are some trees. Can I go to a tree and try and pick a long, thin branch and try and break it off?
Sure. The branches are up a little bit. Give me an
I'll
acrobatics
climb up,
check
yeah.
as you sort of climb up.
My rolls, friends. 11.
11. You're able to kind of scamper up there. The branches, unfortunately, these trees aren't they're fairly sort of, I don't know what the right word is, not dry and dead, the opposite of that. So as you bend the branch, it kind of bends, it doesn't snap.
Yeah, can I give one of these?
Give me an athletics check.
An athletics check. It's like a twig.
Bad roll. 6.
It kind of has a rubbery texture to the sort of bark and the inner part of the tree, and you bend it back and forth, but it doesn't break off.
Halfling.
How high up? How high up is that?
Is Erland doing that
Yeah.
thing? 20 feet in the air?
That's so
I'll walk over to my horse and take the great axe off and just kind of look up at him with it.
Can I take the great axe?
It's a two-handed weapon. It's a big boy.
No way you're
No, I'll put my quarterstaff away. Can I hold the great axe?
Yeah, aren't you holding onto the tree though?
Yeah,
I thought I was like, can I? Oh,
Clean
my-
how are you doing with your legs?
You can do it cartoon style and sit with it between your and chop the one you're sitting on.
How about this?
Do you have?
How about this? I go on Graven's. Oh, in my voice, sorry. I feel like no one listens to me in any voice, so it's fine. How about this, Erland? I go on Graven's shoulders. He hands me the axe. I chop down the branch, and we use it.
I'm tall, but I'm not that tall.
If I'm
Even you on Graven's shoulders is
It's 20 feet.
yeah, 20.
Can I
That would be like.
All right,
It's
is there
7 feet plus 4 feet plus the length of the axe? That's
Is
not
there
right.
a small tree nearby,
like a sapling?
6 or 7 foot tree?
Sure, there's a couple of those.
I'm just gonna go over to that with my axe and try to chop it down.
Give me an athletics check.
How harmless are the harmless tremors in the ground for thaumaturgy?
Pretty harmless.
9.
9. Again, you go hacking at it. These trees are kind of rubbery. Like your axe sticks in it. You have to pull it out, and it looks like you might get through it. It's gonna take a while, even with a small tree.
Kind of like looking around, seeing what they're doing. What are we doing? What is the plan here? What was
We
the
have to
idea?
get something out of these trailers. You've given away
Should I just
enough
go down with my
resources.
shield?
We need to make it worth it.
You could try.
All right, try and go down. If it's really terrible, we'll stop hacking down a
You
tree.
die, we'll leave.
You die, we'll leave here.
We see you float back up to the top.
Yeah.
Party?
We'll deliver the pieces. Don't worry.
Don't worry.
How much does your shield add to your AC?
Only as much. Like,
Oh, you know what?
Shields
That
add
might
2.
be a dexterity saving throw.
Shields at 2. AC.
shields that too.
I could also try.
What?
Okay.
I'm gonna go over with this
Bizarre
original
just let you
stick and try to get rid of the ones that I can on the.
Sure, we'll say the ones that are right up near the surface. Orba helps you. The two of you you can see them kind of. You're able to poke them away.
Okay.
To get to you'll probably have to go underwater in some capacity to get some of the deeper ones. But
Alright, well, we gave you an entrance.
yeah, you get rid of a few of them.
Sure.
Closer to the surface.
I will go down. Do you want me to ignite them or try to get stuff out?
I would try to just get as much stuff out as you can, avoid as many of them as possible, because it's not like we need the carriage to be functional, we just need whatever's in it.
This carriage that we're looking at right now, in theory,
Had the mic in
had the mic in it. So look for any sort. There might not be anything in it, but look for any sort
Signs
of
or-
sign of breakout or if it's
Like
still in there.
if there's a
Wait,
path.
why don't we look at
Why
the one that
don't-
has the supplies in it?
Why don't I just hack a hole in the top of this thing with my axe?
Because then we're still. I think
No,
there's
that's
some
not a bad
inside
idea at
the
all.
one-
Isn't
At
it the
least we get
bottom?
to see what's in
Yeah,
there.
the bottom is at the
It's
top.
upside down.
Yeah.
No, but that it's not a bad idea. That provides us at least a window to look in.
Halfling, why don't you go into the one with the supplies and we'll start hacking away at the top of this one.
Sure.
Should someone watch
I
just
can't
to
really
make sure
carry
if
them.
anything
I'll
goes
get it
I'll keep
wrong?
my eye
Take
on
off
the
some of your
bar.
heavier equipment.
I'll
Like-
go with Graven to sort of help.
Just
with
be
the-
careful if you see like keep your eyes out for like another shark or something, because that could be
Great.
not great.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a shark. I saw the mic in it. I got a bunch of healing
eyes on
potions.
her.
Let's get at it.
No,
I'm done.
Go ahead. I follow
Okay.
you.
Zara starts to kind of
Got my
wade into the
shield.
river. It's cold. It kind of nips at your ankles a little bit. You sort of wade your way in and get a little bit
This isn't
closer.
the hot springs.
What are you guys doing exactly as she's heading over to that way?
If it's the bottom, there's like a bunch of wheel stuff.
It looks like a couple of wheels are left, but some of them have clearly fallen off. It's partially broken.
Is there a place that looks like there's like The thinnest area.
I mean, between the two axles, there's like a flat bed of the wagon.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
I'll
That's where Erland and the guy Clemens were sort of lying.
I'll be not on the wagon, and I'll give you room, and then if I need to climb down, I can.
Sure. Alright, you're a good guy. Give me an attack roll. So you duck under, and you're at the one, not the one they were at, the supplies wagon, right?
Yeah.
Was those bright idea? Great. Splash underneath. And you can see already a few of the little ones that Graven and Orba poked at are not reacting to you as you sort of get close. And then you can push yourself down a little further, and there's like an open window to the wagon. It doesn't have glass or anything, it was just like an open window. And around that window are a number of these little sort of spiny urchins. Are you going to try and get in?
Yeah, I guess so.
Great. Give me a dexterity check.
Just
Straight dexterity as you attempt to make your way.
I didn't know how to ask that in RP.
You need to be dexterous.
Dexterous.
16.
16.
Ooh, dexterous.
So sort of with your small stature, you sort of get thin, you push your way through, and you move into the sort of cabin of the wagon.
Yeah.
As you move into the cabin of the wagon, you look up,
Oh no.
and it looks like there is a dead other person there. He's pushed up against the ceiling because he's sort of trying to float. His face is bloated. He doesn't look alive, certainly. He's just kind of like rocking against the top.
Doesn't
sort of
look alive,
floating
but
there
is he alive?
at the top of this sort of cabin.
Okay.
That's all you see.
I don't see it. Do I see supplies?
Give me an investigation check.
Oh, come on, Beezy.
Unless I'm mistaken, the Great Axe is not the same plus to hit as like my mace. I have a Great Axe on here. It says +2.
Are you not proficient in martial weapons? Because that's probably what it would be.
Oh no. Did you not roll a good investigation
Under
check?
proficiencies?
No, it's a smash check. Oh.
No, simple weapons.
Simple. Yeah, that's why. So you're proficient in simple weapons like the mace, but not in martial
it's
weapons.
a maybe.
Like
7.
7.
Oh.
So what you are able to tell right away, it looks like the reason why you sort of look there immediately is because you've been in wagons like this before. It looks like the seat compartments. There's a little latch, and then you would pull the seat up, and there might be something inside that. There is a bunch of those little urchins kind of on that, but it looks like there's a little latch. It looks like it opens.
Okay. It's not locked or anything.
Doesn't look like it.
I have small hands. I'm gonna try to flip the latch and then hold my shield up in case the latch flipping.
You've been swimming with your shield on the back?
I thought I had
Okay.
it.
Okay.
I thought that was the point.
Yes. That just is
Sorry.
heavy. Not that it's not.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
sure.
very strong, so
I'm small, but I'm strong.
Small
exactly.
but mighty.
It's a solid 7 for
Sure.
strong
Small
and
but
small.
mighty.
Have your shield.
All right.
Very
Put the
solid
latch.
7.
As you pull the latch, the sort of movement of
Yes,
the
yes.
of the seat.
No, sorry. I'm sorry. No, I'm not supposed to do that. Sorry, I'm not supposed to do that. Sorry. I had a feeling it was going to ignite them, though, so that's nice.
A couple of the ones
Sorry,
that were
I'm so
on the
sorry.
seats that you're lifting up do flat out. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
I was just I was bracing myself.
Get it.
Oh, no.
Is it not even a 1?
Oh, no. I wish it was a 1 because then I could re-roll. It's a 6.
6. Great. So 2 of them went off as you went to lift it. And you take 2 piercing damages. Each one pokes into
It's
you.
only 1?
Each one did 1 piercing damage.
Oh, okay.
And those 2 that just sort of exploded, 2 other ones, it starts a chain reaction of these urchins making their dexterity saving.
Oh, come on. No,
baby.
no. Well, good thing that she has, like, also...
14.
2 more piercing damage.
Oh,
And 2 more of them.
Oh no!
I need you to make another dexterity
Oh my
saving.
gosh!
Breath
Good
hell,
thing
baby.
Graven.
Yeah, Graven really healed us. Yeah, no, you're not.
14.
14.
Oh, ow!
Sort of feeling the pricks.
Fine.
Make another dexterity.
It's fine. Okay.
Come on, be dexterous.
Just little
Get
paper
out of there.
cuts. Hit him. 7. So I got my.
Another couple go off. Make another dexterity saving.
Gosh. How many of them are there in there?
Lots.
9.
Make another dexterity.
Are you staying in there?
Yes, I'm
This is
doing-
happening very fast.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I gotta take it. It's fine. I'll be fine. 15?
15. Finally, one of them kind of goes, and it goes like it slows down like right in front of your face as like it didn't have enough sort of
Very
forward
Matrix.
momentum to kind of push in. And finally, sort of with a few of them stuck in the round, and you're holding your shield still, you kind of look around, and it looks like there's still a few left, but it set off quite a few.
That shield
Okay,
out.
can I
love
get
it.
in this thing
You
now?
can.
Shield collected absolutely none of
And
this
as you push it
stuff.
up, it takes a little bit of effort to kind of push it open just with the sort of pressure of the water. There's a few miscellaneous items that are kind of strewn about in there. It looks like a very soaked bedroll that's kind of rolled up in there. A broken lantern, a simple quiver that doesn't have any arrows in it.
Sick.
There are 2 healing potions.
Bingo, there you go.
there it is.
There's a third one, but it looks broken. There's a broken bottle.
The water around the bottle. Shorts like
I have it like dripping off my chin. When I couldn't find anything. I don't know, but I feel great.
So 2 intact healing potions.
I'm gonna take them.
Great.
Can I?
I'm gonna take.
I'm gonna take.
What is your Constitution modifier?
I believe it's the modifier's 3.
3. So 4 minutes you can be underwater. You probably need to be going up for air decently soon. You can-
Okay.
Looking around a little bit took a little bit of time, but
That's what it feels like to be a normal person.
Is there? There's nothing else in there.
not that you can see in there. No.
Okay. I'm going to slowly get away from there, while I have more time and look like on the other. Is it like on one end?
You looked around the cabin as
Oh,
far
is
as
that
you can
it?
tell. Yeah, unless you want to like look more at the bloated corpse. Yes.
I will take a quick look at the bloated corpse.
Give me an investigation check.
No, I don't.
I will take a
don't wanna.
reluctant look at the bloated corpse.
I'm just gonna close my eyes and just feel around.
That's worse. Close your eyes and
12.
12. So you go up to him and you kind of just pat him very lightly, and near his neck it pushes and you can see it kind of squish a little bit. But as you push on his tunic, a little sort of bubble of air comes out, and as it does, a little lanyard around his neck that has a key on it comes floating out.
Definitely taking that.
Make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh god.
Tears his gooey head off.
Oh gosh.
He's got a
Quick, hide behind the dead body. Really?
Oh boy.
8.
8. As you sort of rustle the body a little bit, he moves, and there's another urchin right there, and it
Fine.
fires another piercing damage. And
Just one?
Yep, and give me another dexterity
Oh
saving throw.
my god. How many have you lost?
I still got it added up.
She's
I'm just
rolled
keeping
poorly
track over here right now.
4.
I'm still alive. 17.
So another one starts to puff up, and you move the corpse back in front of it. So
Thank you, sir.
and you let him float back kind of up
Thank
to the
you,
top of the
kindly.
cabin.
And that was the only thing I felt on him of purpose.
Yeah.
And I looked around, and that's basically. There's no other supplies. Gosh.
I mean, it looks like based on
Stuff, yeah.
it looks like some stuff might have floated away because
yeah.
the windows were open.
Okay. I'm gonna go to. I have the healing potion and the key.
Yeah.
2 healing potions.
Yes. I'm gonna go to leave.
Great. You pull at the edge of the window.
And before I'm out, can I see the other one?
The other
carriage.
Yeah, it's a little ways down the water.
Can I see anything?
We'll come back to that because we'll figure out what's happening over
Got
here.
it.
So, Graven,
Wait.
I had a 5 to hit.
with the great axe.
Yes.
Great. So you come down, and it just sticks in. I mean, it seems like they were pretty decently constructed wagons.
Yeah.
You hit it in, and it jams in a little bit. But the wood is thick. I mean, and it's also waterlogged. Like it's dense. It's hard to sort of bust through. You probably could over a longer period of time if you were willing to commit the time.
What do you think, Graven? Do you want to continue to hack away, or do you want one of us to kind of slither in there?
How important is it to get in here?
I want to find that map that he was talking about. If we can. I mean, if Beezaura hasn't encountered it already.
I'll chop until Beezaura gets back and see if she wants to get into this one.
Well, if you're still chopping, I don't want to stick my head down there.
Yes, why doesn't someone else go down?
All right.
All right. Do you?
Sarah's still down there.
Not,
She's still
not me, I
searching.
can only hold my breath for about 30
I know,
seconds.
right, I forget. I'll go down there.
I'm too big.
So Safira sheds some of her heavier items and splashes into the water.
What is my constitution? I have +2 so I can stay underwater for 3 minutes?
Yep.
Okay.
So you have some time. So you go down, and again, you can see a number of these urchins around the window. So to get in, you are having to sort of wriggle past them.
Okay. I will be
Pulling in.
careful.
Give me a dexterity save.
Dexterity
So
save.
just a dexterity check.
Just
So straight dexterity.
Straight dex. That's an 8.
Hey, so as you pull yourself
Auspicious start.
through a little bit, there's one that's just a little too close to your head. It feels the sort of movement of the water, and it
And I
fires out at you. Give me a dexterity saving throw now.
Oh boy.
23!
23. So you see it coming, and instead of sort of trying to block it or anything, you just pull yourself through really quickly. You sort of, and you can hear the kind of behind you as the spines kind of go out, and you're able to avoid it. You move into the cabin. You take a look around. It looks like there's a number of shackles that were sort of attached to the wagon in various places to keep it in place.
Okay.
There's also what looks to be some kind of tarp or piece of cloth that is floated up to the top that they said that they covered the mic in it to keep the daylight off of it. Give me an investigation check besides the sort of basics that you see.
Oh gosh, please be a good. Oh, you know. 11.
11.
Actually, 9. 12.
12.
12. 9 plus 3 is 12.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got it right the second
Take a
time.
look.
It's fine.
This one, the seats that have like a compartment under them are already kind of floating and loose, like the latches. And you take a peek in, you don't see anything. However, in what would be the upper corner, but is now the lower corner because it's flipped upside down, there's like what looks like it would look like a little sort of mailbox or something, sort of a wooden compartment with a little lock on it.
Okay. Is there any way that I could, like, try to grab it and, like, get it off, like, just take it off?
Perhaps it might be difficult. Give me an athletics check.
Might do.
It is attached to the wagon. It's not just like hanging there, but possibly.
14.
14. You put your 2 feet on the sort of side, and you grab it, and you can see it kind of break off.
Okay, so
However, give me a dexterity saving throw as it sets off a couple.
So it begins.
18.
18. You pull it, and as you pull it, you hear but it sticks into the box, and you look at it, and it has all these spines on the back of the box.
Cute.
But it doesn't hit you.
Okay. I'm gonna then also, I guess I'll kind of reach up and grab for the cloth as
Okay,
well. And is there, I guess there's nothing else, right?
That's all that you can see.
Okay, then I'm gonna try to.
Alright, once again, give me another dexterity, straight dexterity check as you're leaving.
6.
6. So you set off 2 more of them. Give me dexterity saving throw.
And 8.
8. You take 2 piercing damage, and as you're sort of wrestling with the tarp and the box, you can hear the sort of chain reaction starting. Give me another dexterity saving throw.
Oh god. Oh.
This is what you're seeing, by the way. As you look out, you're seeing like Safira just come out.
9.
Take another 2 piercing damage.
Yeah.
Sets off another couple. Give me another dexterity saving throw.
Come on here.
19.
Great, and finally you sort of almost wrap yourself in the tarp a little bit. And there's all these spines, and you
Clever.
push your way back up, and you're seeing her exit and return to the surface.
Okay, I got a box and the cloth that I think they had on the mic, and I don't know if this is useful. I figured he'd want to smell it.
I was going to help her out, but I sort of.
I mean, as you bring it up, it's heavy bringing it out of the water. Now that you're not in the water, it's soaked, and you're sort of.
It's like a chest or it's a box. It's a.
I'm talking about the
I have
tarp.
both the tarp
yeah.
and
The box is
box.
fairly small.
Yeah.
She's got that, but the tarp looks like.
I'll grab the tarp and sort of help drag that onto shore.
You can. Yeah.
Orba
I'm
reaches
gonna,
up
yeah,
and-
thanks. I'm gonna plop my shield up and grab Orba's hand.
Orba plucks out one of the thorns as she pulls you out.
Both of them have a few sort of urchin thorns stuck in them.
They're fun.
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh.
Good job.
Well, what I could only see was there was it's like a chest or
The
what's
sort
it
of
called?
compartment.
Hatch
Yeah,
thing.
compartment.
It had what was 3 healing potions, but only 2 intact.
Well, that's pretty good.
So I have them.
Great.
And there was another man down there,
Oh.
obviously not alive, but he did have this key on him.
Oh, brilliant!
She
I've
has,
got
like, the
a
broken lanyard.
I've got a box for the key. I think Let's try
Well
it.
then,
Holds it up, fits, click, opens up, and inside is a waterlogged, but it looks like the box was tight enough that it kept some good bit of the water out. It seems a little damp, but it's like a leather tube that you put a map or a document.
I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
Take it out.
Everyone.
I'm gonna put the key in my pocket just in case, and open it
So
up.
the end kind of pops off, and inside you carefully take out sort of a mildly damp little
Oh, a thing.
Ooh, paper. I guess this is what he was talking about.
Is it a map?
It's a map of some sort.
You can pass it around.
It looks like a drawing of a tree.
It does.
Does it? I don't know how map. Is there like a? What was this dude's name who made the Navigapura map?
Sobel, Frank Sobel.
Frank Sobel. Is there a? Do map makers sign their name on it in some way?
If it's like an artistic sort of rendering sometimes, but for
But
like
not-
a functional map.
So not
and
this
again,
one?
you have like a copy of what was a map. His son was making copies to give to people,
I
so
see.
it doesn't have a signature.
So there'd be no way to sort of compare the artistry of this map and that.
Perhaps yours seems so functional, like in terms of its sort of
Something's under
the
the
use of the
ground.
roots.
Yeah.
Nothing, as far as you can tell, nothing about them seems
Okay, cool.
like.
So it's a. It looks like it's pointing to something under a
Here, actually, if you
tree.
hand
Yeah,
that
can you
to
put it
me,
on the
can you hand that
monitor,
to-
maybe?
Doesn't it look to you?
It's gonna be small on there, but it's a.
You can put it upside down
thing
for the
under it.
folks at home.
Doesn't it look
can what?
as though it?
Yeah, I
Oh
can.
no, it's right side up.
I can make it big
Yeah.
shortly and then bring it back.
It could be some kind of a. I mean, it looks like it's saying there's a tree, and underneath this tree where you found this map, there's something. There's a little. I don't know. It looks like a coin thing of some kind.
It looks like a chamber.
You think that the location of the map tells you where the tree is?
No, I'm just saying that he said that he found the map on a tree, and I'm assuming if you have a map, this map isn't of an area. It seems to be of an. Marking a spot of some kind. I mean, does that tree look specific to you in any way? It doesn't have any specific, markings. So I'm assuming
It says SS, right?
Next to the little thing, it says SS. Yeah, it says ISI here, MIL here, and SS.
And can I kind of look at the leather thing that it came in?
Mm-hmm.
It is like a nice.
It looks fairly nice. It's not like lavish. It doesn't have like jewel encrusted, but yeah, it seems pretty nice. The leather case is pretty
Would
nice.
I recognize like the craftsmanship in any way?
That's something
or,
that's
like-
possible. You don't recognize as
Okay.
craftsmanship, but that's something that could.
Do we believe that ISI and MIL are territories or landmarks that share
Border
a
of some
border?
sort? That's, yeah.
No cities, to my knowledge, in Antisuyu, but you are all much more familiar with specific locations.
Is a tree a metaphor for any place, or something? Could it be under the tree? Does that metaphorically stand for something?
Is this a certain kind of tree? Nature people?
It doesn't look specific to me.
Like it's not an emblem of some kind of house or...
Yes, it looks more artistic than
Okay.
real.
So it's one of two things. It's either literally saying, I mean, it could be many things, I suppose, but it's either literally saying that there's a tree and there's something underneath it and it's a tree, or it's saying, metaphorically, what is under the trees or what grows under the... I don't know. Is it
We
worth
need to
going...
know what these letters are.
Is it
before we know
worth
anything
retracing the steps of... Is it worth retracing Clemen's steps, is basically, I guess, the question. Do we want to
I
go...
don't know if we are able to. His
Well, he said that
description
we
of
could track
could
back
track
and
the
the
wagon.
wagon wheels and see.
Oh, I
if there
see.
was-
You mean literally.
We could find, he described that there was a knob on a tree. I don't know. We could try to take the trouble to do this if we care. I don't know if we do.
And if it is out of our way...
It is not the way he described it. It is not in the direction you're going. He said it was east.
It would be
you're
like a
headed
couple
north.
hours.
Yeah.
It would be out of the way. So I don't, I don't know if we want to waste our time.
Also, just as you guys have passed, there's quite a few trees. So you guys have gotten into the forested area. You could certainly try and track the markings of the wagons, but
What we could certainly do is
you might not find
try
a tree.
to keep track of, keep an idea of sort of where they found this, if we wanted to, in our memory, I guess. Hang on to it, show it to anyone in the next place that we encounter, see if they recognize something like it. I don't know.
I don't know about showing this to anyone.
What is the SS under? What does that look like?
A sphere inside of a
Square.
3-sided cube.
Yes, very clinical.
What else?
Geometrically, it looks like a square and a cube.
Very geometrically sound.
I mean, I think we hang on to it. It could be, if we're back in this area, I suppose we could look into it. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Somebody who lives nearby
do you think
didn't seem to know anything about it.
Well, I mentioned that.
So I wouldn't imagine that
It's strange that the man referred to this as a map. This doesn't seem... If I would have stumbled upon this, I would not have instantly thought map.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe this isn't... Well, no, it's probably the one he was talking about.
There was the map maker that I purchased the Navikapur routes to, as I mentioned, was accompanying someone on a trip north to Navikapura.
Do you know what path he took?
I don't know. His son didn't tell me.
Maybe he took...
I'm saying this
the
could
path
perhaps...
this was on and had to ditch it.
This could perhaps be his work. I mean, finding a map stuck in a tree after finding out that a map maker was traveling, perhaps this path seems...
Yeah, you guess,
Do your Antisuyu minds know of any nomads that live in this particular area between the roads to Navikapura?
SS.
Nothing comes to mind.
Stem Seed
Because
Prairie?
it's communicating something very specific in another language that's not, known by us commoners. I would imagine it's some kind of either a cultural language or a language between one person and another. Yes?
Could
I
be.
have no idea.
I mean, the decision is whether or not we want to take, it could be, I don't know, a day out of the trip to investigate this.
No.
I honestly don't think it's worth it.
I don't think it is either, so I guess we hang on to it and then, I don't know, see if we can figure it out later.
The map maker was headed to Navikapura as well.
Yes.
But we didn't know by which route, so...
Right, but if we see him
But
there...
if we see him there...
Oh, no, absolutely, we can show him, I suppose.
Okay, so does that mean we gather up our things and we head back to our horses and we head closer to Navikapura?
Sure. I'll hold on to this just in case.
Yeah.
Alright.
Group returns to their horses, gathers up their belongings. You sort of took a few things off to swim underwater, but you gathered your thing.
Should we distribute the heal? Do you have a healing potion right now,
Yes.
Tiefling? You do? Do you have 2 or 3 on you now?
I have 3 now.
You have should we distribute that slightly more?
Just in case somebody's
Yeah,
left
we
alone.
should probably, honestly, you should have one. He just went down, so I think, I would feel better if you... Do you have one?
I have 1 right now.
Okay.
Do you have one, Safira?
No, I don't believe I do.
Then I'll give you
Let
one.
me double check. I'm pretty sure I don't.
Graven?
Give her one and either Erland or Orba an extra
I
one.
don't.
You sure you don't want one?
As long as we all...
Don't like the taste.
Then I'll just hold on to the extra one.
Yeah, as long as we all have 1, that's important.
I'll just hold on to the extra one. So, Safira, you take 1.
Thank you.
Everyone's marked the gold that you gave to
Yeah.
Clemens.
0.
And this doesn't count as a spell.
No, that's
That's two gold
any pieces of paper and
Gave the
things,
guy his life. You need to give him more stuff on top of that.
He doesn't have a life, Bray.
Whatever. I don't care.
Be in debt for the rest of his life.
No,
Michael.
Now my
His
gold
life that we gave
doesn't
to
take
him.
up a slot. Five short of a slot in my bag, so it's fine.
It's a tax deductible.
Yeah.
Do me a favor by taking
Can
this
you-
trash.
I was
gold.
only going to do the 45, but that
I
was
literally
still
have
easy.
Gold
so much
weighed
that
me
it's hard
down.
to carry. So, like, can you
To give his gold, she takes it out and she's like,
It's like, here, take 2%
I'm like shuffling
of
there,
all
like,
my
that's a
money.
good one. That's a good year. I don't want to give it up.
From this point forward, for the next day and a half or so, the North Run takes the guesswork out of your navigation. An unbroken stretch of water that's as straight as an arrow. Though variations in elevation cause the river to kind of speed up and slow down as it shifts up and down along the way. It's during one of these more passive stretches that you approach what looks to be a few people repairing a broken footbridge. It looks like there was a bridge spanning the river, and it was damaged in some way, and they seem to be repairing it. Elven, by the looks of it, with two of them using hammers and nails to kind of restore the integrity of the railings, and a third is a few feet ahead of them, and he looks like he's breaking off and gathering the remnants of the crumbling portions of the platform. So it was kind of damaged, and he's breaking off like the sort of broken, splintered pieces so that they can repair it as they go. As you get a little closer, the charred discoloration makes you think it might have been a fire that did the damage to the bridge. But a nearby tree on the opposite side of the river has a wide split running down the trunk that makes you think it actually could have been a lightning strike that split the tree.
Lightning damage?
What are you doing for?
They don't seem to notice your approach. The hammering and the noise of the water drowning out the steps of the horses on the soft kind of earth that you're traveling across. There's a couple of knapsacks lying on the ground at the closer end of the bridge, and a little hand cart filled with some lengths of timber. It looks like they take the timber, bring it over to the bridge, start repairing the bridge. You notice, Graven, the trappings of the elves. Long hair that's been braided into a ponytail and stretches almost to their waist with silver cuffs that cinch it along the way. Oversized ears, even for elves, and an ever so slight purplish tint to their skin, almost like a bruise that hasn't yet fully formed. These are Ackley elves, the most prevalent inhabitants of the Ackley Grove. You're certainly just aware of their sort of existence. Not as territorial as a group like the Redirans, but similarly confined for the most part to one region of the continent. They travel a little bit out to some neighboring communities, but they don't sort of travel across the whole continent the way that some elves aren't beholden to their homes. So you see the three of them working that.
This is about a day and a half? Is that what you said? Did you say an hour and a half or a day and a half that we were traveling?
An hour and a half.
No, I said... Yeah.
You said like for the next day and a half.
Yes, for the next day and a half you'll be traveling straight. Is what I said.
Oh, I thought you were like...
Day and a half went by.
I have so many questions.
We're only there for a couple hours.
Is the we're traveling along sort of that river, which seems pretty straight, right?
That's very straight as it heads north.
Okay, cool. And are we now have we passed on the map? Have we hit the Ackley Grove West Channel yet, or are we just sort of?
You have definitely not yet.
Okay, so we're still walking or traveling along the river there. Okay, cool.
We're on the west bank of the Ackley River, traveling north.
Not territorial, you said.
No. And you know that there's a lot of very small settlements in and around the Ackley Grove, and not all of them are necessarily Ackley elves. So yeah, they mingle with other cultures. They don't leave the Ackley Grove that much to sort of live elsewhere.
A proud people?
Sure, of their homes, but
How's that?
like if you said Ackley Grove sucks, they wouldn't kill you. They might be annoyed.
That's rude.
Filthy Ackley Grove. All right.
It wouldn't be terribly difficult to avoid them if you wished to do so. You are traveling right along the riverbank at the moment, so they might see you as you get closer. But
oh, so the bridge is going not where we need to go. It's
it's going over, facing or headed east over the side of the river, and it's not fully fixed yet either, even if you use the bridge.
Can I ask a quick question? Where they are, is it kind of like, you said this isn't considered like one of the settlements?
No, this is definitely not a settlement.
They're
It's just a
like
crossing
there?
here, that they're repairing. Yeah.
I need to. Oh no, I have. Oh, okay, never mind.
What a
You
journey.
had a week's worth of supplies.
Yeah, I know. I keep forgetting that. I'm like, I need to buy something. I'm like, no, I don't. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So good.
Ackley elves.
We could perhaps then I take it from the name, then they're native to this area.
I imagine so, but who knows? I just mean that I don't know if they live nearby.
Okay, I don't see that there's any reason we should have a conflict with these people.
I'm not. No, I was going to suggest if this is if they're native to the area, perhaps we should not show them the map. But if we said ISI MIL, see if it's something that.
Oh, come on.
I mean,
You say cryptic letters out of any context.
Don't show them.
ISI, and they're like,
They automatically they take out their
I
knives.
was
and they're like,
simply thinking there's a line directly down the center of that map. We're following a river that is a straight shot north. Perhaps the ISI and MIL delineate.
You're thinking the tree is not a tree?
No, the line down the middle could perhaps be a river. Perhaps one side is. Perhaps we're on the ISI side and that's the MIL side. We could just ask.
I think it would
What
be
if
very
we
difficult to. I mean, you have to
Tore
show
the
them.
bottom part off the map and showed them just the letters.
Okay, guys, what is the fear of showing them the map? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to snatch it out of our hands and say, "You're not supposed to have that," pull out their weapons, and then start chasing us around?
No,
People who
perhaps-
found it put it under lock and key.
Yes, they might lie to us and then simply go to where
That's true.
it is.
Well, but we're not even necessarily planning on going to where it is.
What if you say some merchant tried to swindle us by selling us this silly-looking map that means nothing?
They could again go.
Well,
"Oh,
yeah,
you're right. That
that
is silly," and then go exactly to where the.
Again, are we planning on
Well-
claiming this treasure?
Depends on what it is.
Well, yeah,
Graven,
but we
which
don't-
part did you say to show them?
Just the letters.
This part.
You all do what you want, but make it snappy.
I mean,
Unless you guys have stopped, you're still slowly riding.
I think
How many
you
are
Just a
there?
little further off.
do whatever
3.
you want. I'm not particularly keen on. I doubt that we're going to be able to have time to even necessarily get this thing.
How many are there?
3.
Are they armed?
Not that you can tell. I mean, they're right now working.
Yeah, no, but they don't have like
No, they don't. They're not
crossbows.
Not that you can tell. No. They have knapsacks again on the side of the bank that you're on. There could be weapons there. You don't
Just
see
show
any.
them.
I mean, if it's really that important to everyone,
We just ask.
Not
tear
important.
off the bottom if you want.
No, I mean you can do
I
it
don't-
if you want to. I
You need
just
to tear the map, but
I'll ask them about the letters.
yes.
Alright. And about what happened to this tree.
oh, hang on. That's a tree with a line through the middle of it, isn't it? I guess.
The lightning line?
I don't know. I mean, it is in fact a tree with a line through the middle of it.
The map would have
Kind of.
I know
just
it's
go-
okay. Fine, it's a
go-
bit silly. I get that it's not where they found it, but you know, just
Instead of
figure.
theorizing,
Graven,
we
do you
could
want to
ask.
just go together and ask them?
Well,
Let's
we're
go.
all walking past them.
Yeah, let's not be weird about it. I guess we can all walk up to them.
They're
Oh
like,
my
so those people back there.
Alright then, let's ride up to
Go
them.
along.
Great, I'm assuming you're leading.
Yeah.
We all awkwardly hang back and talk
So
about
it's
something for a
flying
second.
comfortably, sort of riding forward at a even pace. And you get closer and closer, and again, sort of the kunk sound of the hammer and the of the water. It covers your approach pretty good. I mean, you get certainly like almost to. They're kind of in the middle of the river on top of the platform, and you're getting all the way kind of up to where your side of the river meets the bridge.
I'll give
Your side of the bank.
greetings.
And they all hear, and they kind of straighten up, and in kind of a weird unison, they all kind of turn to you.
We're a bunch
Terrible
of
idea.
idiots.
They just kind of have a neutral look on their face, and the one that speaks is the one that was kind of collecting the damaged pieces. So he has like a handful of broken and splintered wood, and he takes a step towards, and they all look. Hello, travelers.
Oh,
I hope you fare well on this day.
yes, and same to you. What did it? What?
What it is.
What is it? What is it that has happened here?
And you see, again, all 3 of them, they kind of look to the tree as like a group of 3, and then back to you again. And the one man speaks again that has the sort of bundle with him. 'Twas a lightning strike.
My knowledge of Ackley elves, do they act like this that I know?
Yeah, maybe.
Famously weird.
Really?
as shit.
They are a little sort of odd and sort of insular in their
Okay.
own kind of community.
20
Yeah.
years in the grove.
Yep.
When the squall seasons cycle, the earth groans in protest. It is the way of things. And he kind of nods, and all 3 of them kind of nod a little bit.
God.
Am I next to
Truly.
Graven?
You're like behind him by 5-ish feet, 5-10 feet. Yeah.
I'm just gonna lean forward and
Sure, you
tap him on the
can
shoulder.
ride up just a little bit. Yeah, now you're at the side.
Yes.
And that guy's just
And
standing
they look,
there.
and they all kind of turn their attention to you, and they nod.
Hello.
Greetings, travelers.
What is this path used for?
Just a crossing. There are many along the Ackley River.
It is our duty as attendants of the grove to take responsibility for the damages incurred by the squall cycle.
What is a squall cycle?
And they all kind of turn their attention to Orba, who's sitting on her horse back a little bit. Orba kind of rides up a little bit as she speaks.
Oh no, let's see.
I did the same thing, Leah.
Oh my gosh.
What was that?
They thought SS.
Squall cycle.
But it's SC.
I feel like an idiot.
And he's, again, the same one speaks to you.
Periodically, the tempests will move to a different portion of the grove to cleanse and renew. There are 6 areas.
Wait, I have that right. Nope, there are 5 areas. Counting while I'm reading there.
There are 5 areas within the grove that they rotate through, and their movement between them is known as the squall cycle. Their specific placement within these areas are known as the 6-5 seasons of the squall.
That's Matt,
They'll get
not
those
the
right,
elf,
yes.
Okay.
Inside check.
Got it.
In my original thing, I think I had 6, and then I changed it to 5.
What are the areas?
Ver, Isi, Mil, Itu, and Des.
Where have they moved to?
They've moved to Des,
And where were they?
Itu,
How long?
And they all kind of...
How long does a typical cycle of a squall last?
anywhere from 90 to 180 days.
So it just moved to Des.
Yes, very recently.
And we are currently in E2.
We're in none. Those are the grove proper. We are outside the grove.
Where's the grove?
Like, if you look on your map, and you
Yeah,
kind of... The
trees.
green area is the grove. You have not reached the grove yet. You're
right,
traveling
okay.
up.
Oh, that's the number 2 on the map, right?
What's number 2 on the map?
The grove.
Number 2
On the
is
green.
a portion
Sorry.
of the grove.
Okay,
yes.
got
I have the literal Navigator core map. If I'm gonna actually hop off my horse, and I'm gonna sort of go up to them, and just sort of. Do they seem threatened by me at all?
No.
Okay, great.
They don't care.
We're traveling north. Could you perhaps help me mark on this map where the 5 grove areas are?
Of course.
He takes the map, and he kind of holds it up and stares at you while he does it, and he kind of points at the different areas.
So creepy.
I have a thing for it.
Hey!
Of course you do.
Just staring at you. It's here.
This is it.
Oh!
And that is the ways that as he described it, the tempests
Nice.
travel
Fucking called it.
from Ver to EC to Meal to E2 to Des back to Ver. So he points that out on your map. Sort of. So you guys are still down here, ways you have not
Yeah.
reached. The,
So it has
we have
traveled
to travel-
from E2 through Des recently.
it has recently gone from E2 to Des, and that's why even though you guys are like here, the travel lines like it came through here.
I see.
So,
I see. So, can you describe for me exactly what a tempest looks like?
The tempests are creatures of great power and indifference.
Yeah.
Incarnations of elemental force. Their power is to be feared and respected. And as he says that, he sort of closes his eyes and nods, and all 3 of them kind of do that at the
I'll
same
follow
time.
suit.
Orba will do.
But they are also purifiers of debased spirits. There hasn't been an infestation of undead in the Ackley Grove for as long as memory serves. We who dwell there are grateful for this peace of mind.
Do the creatures harm travelers that pass through, or simply...
They do not try to, but they are indifferent. The tempests bring storm with them, wind, rain, and lightning. It is for that reason that the people of the Ackley Grove rotate with the tempests.
So you are currently living...
We were in Des, and now we've moved to Ver.
And just out of curiosity, and Safira kind of, as soon as they do that, is a little... Okay. There haven't been any changes to this cycle in the, recent past, have there?
Not for thousands of years.
That's good news. That's good news. Okay.
And this lightning strike here that you're attending to, why do you, if it were not in the grove yet, why has it struck here?
The tempests, when they're changing seasons, do wander outside the grove.
I see.
I'm gonna take the map.
Sure.
And I'm gonna fold it.
Are you folding it or tearing it? You're just folding it. Okay.
In such a way that only this middle part shows.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be like, does this mean anything to you?
And they all kind of...
Why you do this?
No.
Okay.
Does that seem true to me? I'm standing
You
right
can't
next to
tell.
them.
Yeah,
I can't
no
tell.
way to tell. Are you kidding?
Bastards.
I feel like that means seasons.
Well, you wouldn't happen to mind if we crossed over your little footbridge here? Or...
And they
We don't
look
have to
over for
go
a second. The bridge is not yet repaired.
Right.
There are more
the way we're
crossings
going.
as you move north.
Would you be able to
1 second, Halfling.
direct us to the next crossing?
If you continue north, there will be at least 2 or 3 more before you reach the grove.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend traveling through Des.
Yes, exactly.
Right. That's a good pointer.
Would that be the path that we would
Yeah.
be taking naturally?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a huge deviation to go through a different part, but yes.
Like basically the road we
what
have right
commoners
now
are calling the West Channel, the
goes
natives
through
call
Des.
this.
So we would need to travel across
Like
a river
across.
into
East
the grove.
Perhaps between Easy and me?
So, is there did you say there's a safe crossing on the river before we get into where the tempest, the squalls have happened?
Yes.
Right?
In Elven, I'll say thank you for your advice and the warning.
And back in Elven.
You as well.
I have provided no warning, have I?
Your presence is a gift.
Likewise. I'll look to the group because I was just speaking in Elven. Platitudes.
And I kind of look at the group like, yeah, kind of, I guess.
I'll
should
sort
we
of
head
walk away from them back to my horse. And do something.
Take care.
Good luck.
Goodbye.
Good day.
Start.
And as you guys, they kind of wait for you guys all to get on your horses and move a little bit, and then you hear like the... It seems like they go back.
Weird folk.
So they're taking the lightning struck tree and build.
That's on the other side of the river.
Oh,
They're
I
just
see.
repairing the
Oh, I
bridge.
see, I
It's
see,
currently like from the middle to the other half is destroyed.
Des seems to
Can you switch?
Oh, yes.
Des seems to be the part of the grove that we were going to travel through, but we should pass.
I'm gonna pull up the horse real quick and stop. I'm gonna. Sorry, I'm gonna rotate back to. I'm not that super far away from the one.
You ride a little bit and they...
Sorry. Since we are having to traverse a path that we're not familiar with, do you have any advice or paths we should take if we're traveling in through, I suppose, Isi into there? Since we're moving off the sort of typical path to avoid the squall,
There will be routes to take.
will it be fairly obvious? I've heard that one can get easily lost in the grove.
Yes, there are signs that denote the different regions. If you find yourself wandering too close to Des, you will see them.
Yes, but I've heard that people often get lost in the road traveling northward.
If you keep your wits about you. If you're traveling through Isi, the weather might be bad as it is so close to the tempests.
But if we travel into... well, at some point in time, going to have to get into EC if we travel through Mill. All right.
Still traversable, just poor weather.
Are the signs your signs that you've written? Are they in Common or Elven or...
Just pictures.
What are the pictures of?
Green for the regions that the tempests are not in. Red for the region that the tempests are in.
But how do you distinguish between, for example, EC and Mill?
There is none. You will just see green signs.
So then how do we find our way north safely?
Just head north.
It's not wrong.
Just
All right, thank you.
in the green
Thank you
zone.
again. And I'll sort of hop right back.
After a little bit.
Yeah. I wanted to find out, since we're going off route, I wanted to find out if there was some sort of safe passage so we don't get lost.
And did you?
They said there are signs that prevent us from getting into the storm areas. So if we see a red sign, that means we're heading towards the squalls. If we see a green sign, it means we're heading away. And they gave me the very wise advice of continuing to head north in order to head north.
I'm imagining
The implication also being that if you headed too far east, you'd start to see signs, even if they
Right.
were green signs, because you'd know you were passing into another region.
Oh, I see.
You'd be like, oops, I hit the border of EC Mill.
Oh, I
because
see.
there's signs between each region.
Okay.
So
I
have
communicate
we
that.
concluded, without speaking about it, that we are going to be avoiding death?
Nice.
I think we absolutely should.
I mean, there's
Find a
no
crossing,
reason we should.
Find another crossing over into EC, or perhaps
They said that perhaps we should avoid the EC might be the weather might not be good either, but we should, I think,
split the difference.
exactly. It will keep us safely away from Des, while also hopefully investigating a little bit about what that could be.
And away from the bad weather, hopefully.
That's
Most of it.
exactly, yes. If we sort of stay on the westernmost side of EC, we'll be both as far away from Des as possible and close to where the map is.
Yeah, makes sense.
He spoke about it not just as weather, but as entities.
Entities bringing the weather.
Yes,
elementals.
it seems like. I mean, I imagine the eye of the storm might be where the elemental creature is sort of popping about.
Elementals, like we met in the temple.
Well, I imagine that we don't want to. What do you want to walk right through?
Which
Would I have heard of tempests?
No.
Which elementals?
Am I bringing
Great
in
answer.
like Magic the Gathering into this right now? Are like storm elementals?
The genies had element
Okay.
like
Yeah.
like there was an
Yeah,
earth
we had
elemental
actual-
coming up out of the
We've-
floor.
we've had
Methods
that before.
are elementals, like they're
Okay.
elemental creatures.
But we've only
that doesn't
seen.
necessarily associate
Okay.
them
We
together.
have seen
Alright.
one real elemental, but we didn't actually fight it. It was in the cage.
Oh, in the Den of Sand.
In the Den of
Yeah.
Sand.
But tempest doesn't necessarily mean that. A tempest could just be like a bringer of control over weather and stuff, right?
Yeah, I think you're asking different questions. Just because there's elementals here doesn't necessarily mean they're associated with those.
Right.
ones.
I'm associating Tempest Jinn. Jinn is something that we met, right?
Yes,
Okay.
and you did not meet a storm djinn or anything like
Right.
you're saying.
There's
There was
a magic card
yes.
called Tempest Jinn.
Yes.
It's like all I can think about.
Yes, you met an Ifrit and
Right.
a djinn.
Got it.
So
Okay.
regardless, as the Goliath said, we should find a crossing across the Ackley River and then into the Grove.
Yep.
They are strange.
Yeah, really weird people. I mean,
I think
They
we should
set
get
up.
moving.
When I,
Yes,
yeah.
all moving.
Oh, we are moving. Okay.
A little faster, everyone.
I can see Orba getting restless. I'm like, Orba's gonna kill us if we don't get moving.
When I was speaking in Elven to them, I said that I thanked them for the warning, and they thanked me as well, saying that our presence was a blessing. Is that you're familiar with the area? Is that
That's
cultural
creepy.
or?
I don't know.
That doesn't.
I
There's
think
some
that's
They
just them
seemed
being
very
them.
formal.
people of nature might sort of welcome your presence or not. I mean, depending.
I mean, I guess that's nice. It's kind of that's pleasant and welcoming, I suppose. I don't know. They didn't seem like they were. I don't know. I suppose we'll find out if walking through their forest at night if they come at us with swords.
Erland, can you use your very powerful brain and determine how much this will sidetrack us, timing-wise? I'm assuming you had the map, right? And they showed it.
Well,
so-
I mean, yes, I think that.
Well,
I mean, the only thing we're doing in theory here is moving maybe half a day, quarter of a day eastward. A quarter of a day, Tiefling. And if we were to go through Des, we would be waylaid much longer.
Orba, listen. There were gonna be delays, and
The route said 6 to 7 days, so now we're sitting probably closer to the 6.5, 7 day. We'll get there. We need to get there safely.
Come on,
We're not going through a tempest that will waylay us longer.
I mean, I'd rather you get there alive, right? We don't want to have to, drag your body all the way up there. No?
And with Orba grumpily riding along, we're going to take a little break there as she reluctantly agrees to continue the route. Fine, we'll go through the Tempest Storm. Awesome. A couple little checkpoints along the way. A little information gleaned about the Ackley Grove and its inhabitants.
Who was right about that shit? I was right about that shit.
What'd you say?
I
That it was a
called
border?
it. No, yeah, well, I said that, and then I also said that it's like areas only
like-
really known by whoever like lives in this area.
It's their version.
It's pretty
of
vague, but
it.
yeah, you got it.
Nailed it.
I knew it meant something to somebody.
Oh, there's a tree, and then there's a thing under a tree.
You're right.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and continue
Nailed
the travel northward along the river toward the Ackley Grove. We'll see what happens. Join us. Come back. We're just going to have some... Oh, yes.
For anybody who's new, because we have quite a few new people in the
hi,
chat
what's
tonight, during our 20-minute break, feel free to go to our YouTube channel where there's plenty of recaps,
Tons of recaps.
and tons of
So
information
many.
there. There's also an Instagram with a bunch of fun little clips on it.
Wicked.
Jordan Orba does excellent episode recaps. We also, I will say this, I've said this before, but if there's new people joining us, this right now is sort of the beginning of a new big quest line. So there's a lot of context you won't know, but it will be less confusing to sort of jump in and join now because this is sort of, we concluded one big story arc and now we're beginning another
The
one.
only thing you have to know is that we have to get to Navikapura right now.
We have
Right.
to.
There's
else
conflicting
we
opinions.
will-
Like yesterday.
We'll explode.
Yesterday. We're
Orba's
late.
gonna die.
We'll be right back, everybody. We'll see you then.
Yeah.
Bye.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a lovely break. We returned to the forest station outside of the Ackley Grove, where the party headed north, following the river on their right side as they continue to ride. Graven grumbly in front as he mulls over the loss of 90 gold. Your ride continues north, and you notice that this forestation is slowly getting denser. Still plenty of room to work with, especially if you stay within a stone's throw of the river. But the sightlines are getting more and more obscured, forcing you to stay vigilant if you want to spot any kind of creatures or points of interest from a distance. Concurrently, the terrain has begun to slope downward a little bit, and the noise of rushing water is picking up as it's gaining a little momentum, moving a little quicker. Everybody give me perception checks as you move forward. Fine.
So funny. As soon as you said that, my contacts blurred, and I was like, I can't see anything. And he's like, perception check.
No.
Like, I literally can't do anything right now.
11.
12.
8.
Natural one.
Guys, what is wrong? Come on.
The dice know me.
Just mediocre across the board.
11.
Yep.
Wow. Well,
You guys are riding along, and the noise of the water, again, sort of covers most of the noise. You hear a little bit of the soft thumps of the horse's hooves as you travel. But Safira hears something off in the distance.
Of course.
The snapping of a twig. And you quickly turn to see what at first looks like a deer, but in place of antlers on its head are two long, spiraling, pointed horns. That, combined with the striping on its fur, gives it the appearance of an antelope or gazelle. Not as commonly found in these forested areas, and rarely traveling without the safety of a herd. It looks like it's struggling to keep its feet at the moment. It's kind of stumbling and catching itself repeatedly. Though it doesn't bear any obvious wounds. There's no sort of blood streaked across it. Nope, no obvious bleeding at all. And at one point, it takes a couple steps, and it walks headfirst into a tree, and it kind of staggers back a little bit before sneezing a couple times. And as it sneezes, it releases kind of a cloud of grayish particles in the air that slowly sink to the ground, and it kind of stumbles.
I'm gonna kind of like hold my hand up for a second and just quietly like kind of point it out to the group.
It definitely seems like if it's having trouble maneuvering, you can see its ears twitching. Its ears seem to be, functional.
Obviously, I think you guys can tell, but I think there's something very wrong with that antelope. First of all, it's odd that it's alone. Secondly, I just watched it walk into a tree. Thirdly, it just sneezed like a greyish dust. Graven, does that look familiar to you?
Make a nature check.
Is the dust still hovering in the air at all?
No, it fell pretty quickly. It's not like linear.
Did we see that? Or?
No, Safira is describing it to you. But
Remember the heal you rolled?
7.
Remember, like
those symptoms don't sound familiar.
So that doesn't sound like the beasts that you've seen that have been infected with,
That you can say no. It does not sound like that. No.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely weird. I would say we probably want to give it a wide berth.
Do you want to put it out of its misery?
I mean, I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know if it's
You can
got...
hear kind of again. It kind of sort of brays a little bit. You hear like a.
Oh, well, it can make sounds. You can make sounds. No?
Should I try to... Well, I don't have any
Maybe you
actual
try to
capacity. I
ask
don't have
him.
any energy right now to be able to talk to it.
Well, I guess it's just a sick deer then.
I mean...
We should close and see
couple
if it's
steps.
injured in some other way that we can't see from here.
Could. Or just
the
keep on moving
thing that
forward.
I worry about is I want to stay far enough away that us and our horses don't, breathe in any of that grey sort of strangeness that it's emitting, because whatever it has might be contagious.
Did we see that second sneeze now that she's
sure.
pointing it
Yeah.
out? Does it look similar to any of like the spores from myconids or anything like that?
No, it didn't.
We could investigate it, or
It's pretty localized. Well, it's not like spraying a big cloud. It's just a little bit and then it falls like a sneeze.
Is it blinded?
I mean, it seems to be having a difficult time understanding where to go. It looks almost like it doesn't have its feet underneath it.
If I look around, is there... This is kind of vague, but anything like else suspicious? Anything that would easily be able to say like,
Be more
that's
specific.
what caused that?
Be more specific. What are you looking for?
Do I see like signs of a scuffle where it was maybe attacked? Do I see like something that like something that obviously could have caused that, like a fire pit or something?
Okay, give me an investigation check.
Investigation. Ooh, 21.
21. You take a quick peek around, you look in the tree, you don't see anything in the forest itself, but then as you're kind of running your eyes over it, you're looking past the antelope at one way and then run it over, and as you're running your eyes over the antelope, you do see it pick up its feet as it's trying to move, and there's like a piece of twine wrapped around, loosely, not like holding it to the ground, but wrapped around one of its hooves. So it looked like it might have run through something, or, you know, there's a little piece of twine.
Is it? I would have to get closer to see what the kind of twine it is, if it's a trap or if it's just sort of...
Yes, you would have to get... I mean, it looks like a piece of string wrapped around
And
its...
then seeing him kind of like moving towards the.
Yeah, well, I haven't
Scanning the
scanned,
area,
yeah.
Do you see anything?
There's a piece of twine around it. I could perhaps try and calm the creature and see what it is. If it's a trap, it's something that would be good for us to know about.
Yeah, if there is a piece of. I mean, if anything, there could be traps sort of in this area of a magical nature that maybe.
Let me perhaps go take a look.
Yeah,
Make
sure.
it quick.
All right, I'm going to pass the reins over to Safira and my horse, and I'm going to very calmly and quietly try and...
Give me a stealth check.
Oh,
8.
God.
So as you start to move through, there's dry leaves on the ground. It's hard to kind of cover your footsteps. And the further you get from the river, the less the river kind of covers your approach. And you do see it. It kind of like hears its ears twitch a little bit, and you see it kind of go up. However, as you get a little bit closer to it, its eyes are open, but they're kind of glassy. It looks like it might be blinded. Like it's not focusing on anything in particular. It has kind of a glazed look on its face.
Okay, does it look like it's about to bolt as it hears some twigs?
It's standing very still at the moment after it kind of heard you. It's not moving yet.
I'm not going to move either.
Okay. You see it kind of take a couple steps, and again, it's trying to kind of feel its way. And
Okay, as it starts doing that again, I'm going to start to proceed a little more.
give me one more.
24.
There we go.
Start to move a little closer, and now it's sort of using its sneezes as cover. Get a little closer. How close do you want to get to it?
I want to be able to see what perhaps the string is.
Okay, from here you can see it. It looks like the string is not attached to anything else. Whatever it ran through, it broke that part free.
But it's like a nondescript piece of twine.
It doesn't look like fancy or magical in any way. Yeah.
Does it look like it's torn off? Like that the ends look frayed? Has it been torn
yes.
or cut?
Looks frayed. Yes.
And is there sort of around the hooves? Is there any markings of the fact that it like maybe hit something and cut it or anything like that?
It's not cut, but you do see some dark, deeper grooves around the sort of just above the hoof area. Yeah.
Okay. Do I... Deep grooves. Do I feel anything? Do I smell anything?
No.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? I don't know if you were about to keep
No.
going. Would Orba know of any spell that can be triggered with a trap that would cause blinding? Perhaps something that has like a gray, dusty component to it?
It doesn't sound like a spell that you're familiar with. No.
Okay. Well, I guess just while he's doing that, I'm going to start ritually casting Detect Magic while on my horse, but if he is like, we're done.
Right, he's sort of up, he's gotten a little closer. You can see Erland kind of looking around, trying not to make noise while he sort of surveys.
No, I mean, I know the goats were pretty mutilated, but no, I think I pulled out like one of the hooves. Is there any, do I see any sort of symptoms that would seem to be
No.
what Graven described?
It does not look like that, no.
Okay. Glassy eyes. Okay.
I mean, I had Graven make a nature check. You don't know it, so I'm not going to have you roll, but you're aware of the existence of, poisons that blind the creatures. So, that crops up in your mind, although you don't know the kind of poison.
Oh, is there any, now that I'm pretty close on the sort of muzzle of the creature, does it look like they've gotten into anything? Is there some dust around or...
No, it looks like around his nose is like a little slick, a little runny from the sort of sneezing and things. But
yeah, but there's no like, it looks like he put his face into something and...
No.
Okay.
Not like that, no. as you get close, it's it's a pretty sad sight. It looks clearly sort of disoriented and kind of.
And can I see where it came from? But I sort of start to track where it's been walking.
There's a lot of leaves along the ground. It's very difficult to do that. I mean, it came vaguely from the westerly direction.
I'm going to start then backing away quietly as well. I don't want to startle it again.
You do so.
I'm going to head back to the.
What makes its way back?
Is it blind?
It's blind. It could perhaps be some sort of poisoning. It looks like there's a frayed string around its legs and some grooves in its hooves. So I would believe.
It's unusual for them to be away from its pack. So maybe someone was hunting it, possibly for some reason.
I believe that the string perhaps is some sort of trip. So because there was sort of cuts on its hooves. So
we should be careful
as
for
we're
traps.
riding.
Yeah.
You can't communicate with him.
If Orba sort of started this as Erland was walking over, we'll say about that much time passed, your ritual detecting of magic is done, and you see nothing. It looks, whatever happened might have been physical in nature, not magical. Does not look.
I could cure it of its blindness if we think that it would help in any way to.
I mean, I would be able to
track it
talk to it,
backwards.
but we'd have to sit down here for a moment and let me regain my.
That would be reliant on if this creature feels like staying around here.
For now, yes.
I mean,
regardless, should we? If there's traps around, and there's someone or something that's going to fight us, I need a rest before another fight.
You do?
Not a long rest, just not a sleep.
Not a
What time
Just
is
a
it
CS.
at this point?
Like the later afternoon, 5, 6, yeah.
I would need an hour just to sort of focus my energies again before another fight.
Or, I don't know.
Or we proceed and hope we don't get into a fight because.
Well, the fact that this creature has not been, attacked or mutilated in any way other than the blindness, from what we can tell. What if I just walk forward ahead of you and the horses, leave my horse for somebody to steer. That way, if we set something off, it's only on one of us. You can cure me of the blindness, and we should be okay.
Well, I mean,
the last thing we want to do is lead all 5 horses and us into it. I think we just need one person in case it sets off.
Okay,
is that not going to be a very slow journey then, if we're going at the speed it takes you to walk? A very slow journey.
Well, do you want to do that, or you want to sit here for an hour and then go talk to a deer?
Well, no, we just proceed on horseback carefully.
Right, but I'm saying if we all proceed on horseback carefully, all 5 of us could get stuck in whatever that thing just was victim to.
She's not wrong.
Single file?
I mean, I suppose, okay, single file.
Single file. Utilize your detect magic for right now. I'll be right behind you. I can cure blindness.
She is not riding in the front. I will ride in the front.
Again, as you're talking, you hear again another thing in sort of a weak kind of.
Why can't Orba go in front?
I'm never allowed to do anything.
She wants to go in front. She can detect magic
She
if
only
we
has a
need her to. Let her do it.
She only has a certain amount of time left with her spell. Let's go.
I'll be behind Graven.
And I kind of look at Orba
Safira, it's fine.
Also,
I guess I'll bring up the back then.
Graven, I
Okay.
would recommend you don't run in the front because you're the only person who's able to cure
I can
blindness.
cure myself.
You don't need vision of any kind in order to do
Not to
that?
cure myself, no.
Yeah, but to cure us, you would.
As they're all discussing, do I see in the immediate area along the path any of
see her.
any twine?
No.
Okay.
It's pretty open near the river. You have a decent view.
Let's keep moving.
Alright, you guys keep moving, and as you guys are moving away again, sort of the creature you can see it kind of bumping into one tree at a time, sort of feeling its way forth. You guys start to run. Keep moving. It's very sad.
Slowly.
But not too slowly.
But pretty slowly.
Not too Orba's got a little pep in her step as she's leading the party.
She just goes ahead. Like, all right, fine, whatever.
Orba just starts to gallop.
A couple more hours pass. And the dark of the evening comes surprisingly quickly. The canopy above you is amplifying the effects of an already bleak and cloudy sky. There's been a stark shift in the weather since leaving Tuktu. A beautiful cool night leading into a dry, mild morning, but now a touch of moisture in the air. A bit of wind. Unless you plan to push through for the evening, it's time to consider potential campsites.
We haven't come across any of the bridge crossings?
No, you have not come to another crossing yet. But you're still,
Yeah.
a couple hexagons away from the forest as the map.
Hectares.
Yes, you're not right on the cusp of the forest yet. With most of the stretches of forest you've passed through being virtually indistinguishable one from any other, there aren't too many options to consider. Just whichever patch of grass has less roots sticking up, reducing discomfort as you find a good sleeping position. Continues to get dark, you continue to run.
So what do we think? I mean, it's getting dark. Are we, gonna make camp at some point in the near future? Or?
It's obviously harder to see traps in the dark, so...
I think in general on this path where people are prone to getting lost, going to sleep earlier and waking up at first light
I agree.
is probably
I
safest.
think the maximum amount of time that we can have with the sun
Is best.
is best.
Great.
Okay.
So start making camp here then?
Should we get away from the path at all?
I would hesitate, actually.
Okay.
I think that anything in the grove is probably less safe than anyone who might be traversing the path.
Well, I guess we can hope so.
Alright, camp it is. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Off your horses. Pull a little just away from the shoreline, but you're
Right.
just off just a little bit. Start to
First,
gather your things.
first thing that Orba wants to do is find some kind of a stick that she can stick into the ground and mark the direction that they are going, along their campsite, just to mark this is forward, not backward.
Is there a river
Okay.
that we're going along?
Yes,
that
you're
makes that
following
easy?
the flow of the river.
So there's a river on the left or right side. Okay.
Yes, and also you can
Shut
follow the flow of the river.
The current changes, you never know, okay?
Hey, I don't know how mysterious this
up
river is.
Feeling good from the deer he caught that morning, Erland's gonna sort of go out into the woods a little bit,
Going
try
out
and
into the
hunt
woods?
an animal, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want some
Easy,
help
man.
and some backup?
I did so good by myself last time.
All right.
Oh,
That was
wow.
last
Famous
survival
last
check.
Every
words.
time is different.
Oh, well, famous last word.
Do you know
Survival?
how dice work?
No.
I thought it was...
Nothing is consistent.
Yeah, 10.
10. As you go off, it got dark so quickly with the canopy of the trees overhead. You can hear some creatures, but in order to track them down, you'd be wandering away quite a bit from the campsite. So leave it alone.
No luck this night.
Rations it is.
Rations.
Yeah.
How are we setting watches?
I can go first.
Can I actually go first so that I can meditate as well before I go to sleep?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll go second.
Third.
Fourth?
Okay, I'll wake up first.
You guys are kind of putting down your bedrolls, getting all your things sort of put aside. Find a little spot that's, there's some trees around you. It's a slightly, more open area that you're able to sit down. And just as people are sort of getting down to their bedrolls and moving to a reclined position, first watch set to begin with Erland. There's this kind of recurring sound that begins to penetrate through the flowing of the river, sort of the chirping of crickets that you can hear around you. It's coming from the north, and it sounds like buzzing. But it's not high-pitched and sort of erratic like the giant wasps that Safira fought sort of near Mukna.
Yep.
It's low and repetitive, like a call and response. And it's getting closer.
That's not great.
Sort of a call and response, buzzing, humming.
Does it sound like it's being made by like people like singing literally? Or?
You certainly don't see any at the moment.
Yeah,
give me a perception check.
Off today, guys. 6.
All right, you take a couple steps towards it. And you try and kind of suss it out, but you are still pretty close to the water, and it's covering it a good bit to sort of detect exactly what it is. Gets a little closer, and the buzz turns even to a little more of a hum, and it's accompanied by slow shuffling footsteps. You can hear the leaves moving. And you further confirm that it is a call and response. There's a quieter two-tone hum that starts. And then followed by a fuller, richer imitation. And it goes back and forth. And you start to see some light coming from that direction. But it's very, very dim. Perhaps a lantern being obscured or possibly consuming the last bit of fuel that it has. And finally, from the trees, a little ways off, you see a man emerge. Older, with just tufts of white hair on either side of his head above his ears. He's wearing a long coat that reaches down to his knees with wide lapels, and you think kind of reddish in color, though it's hard to tell in this light. And it's cinched at the waist with a sash. In his left hand, he's carrying a kind of banner. It's got a long pole, and then it has like a banner on it, like a flapping kind of banner a little bit. And he's kind of using it as a walking stick as well. So he's walking, kind of puts the banner down, walks. He's walking along. And the banner looks like it has some writing on it, but you can't see what it is here yet from this distance.
Sorry, we've all laid down. This is the first watch, or this is before we've all...
This is before you've fallen asleep. So you guys were kind of getting ready, and you saw Erland kind of hear a little bit and take a couple steps over to try and hear. And now that Erland's sort of there, you guys can start to hear a little bit of the hum. Okay. But you guys are still like sitting on your bedroll, like watching Erland as he's over on the side.
Stay rested. Be ready. Pretend you're still resting, but be ready if something happens. As in, this...
Shield.
Totally relaxed.
Safira just kind of drags her bow over and
I move there far enough away that I can speak to the group still.
There's a group of... Seems like a group of people coming. A bannerman. If we're just bounty hunters resting for the night, it might be nothing.
What did that bring us?
I can't see the banners yet. They're still too far away. It's still too far away.
Okay. Alright, go ahead.
Perhaps even feign sleep.
We get it.
Alright. And so I'm going to sort of sit down as if I am sort of taking up first watch.
And they continue to approach. And you can tell now, pretty confidently, that the man in the front starts the first. And at first it was hard to tell because it looks like they're watching single file, but there's clearly people behind him. He does the hum, and then from behind him a little return hum from a few people behind him. More people emerging as they walk. Perhaps 4 or 5 others, moving in single file. Their faces very worn and thin. Their outfits very simple, pants, tunic. And the sash that the man in the front was wearing, now that he's getting closer, it extends back and it loops around the next person, and then the person behind them, and then the person behind them. So they're in this kind of single file train with the sort of sash connecting each of them.
I don't know why that makes me hate even more.
They don't look like they're headed straight for you. Again, you came off a little bit. They're walking pretty much parallel to the river, alongside, headed in the opposite direction.
Humans or elves like we saw before?
Humans, as far as you can tell.
I don't recognize the banner now that it's approaching.
Give me a perception check.
It's a raccoon.
He doesn't.
8.
It looks like it's made of a dark material, and again, the writing on it is too hard to make out from here. And they continue to walk. And it seems, based on their trajectory, that if they continue to walk and you guys sort of stayed quiet and didn't make any noise, that they might just walk on by you. And Erland kind of waits.
The humming, that sort of tradition of humming doesn't seem to be...
No, and again, it's pretty basic. It's not like a tune or something. Yeah, it's just a couple...
Okay, I just want to, as they get closer, as soon as I can perhaps identify the banner, I'd like
it's
to...
the Ackley Humming Man.
It's the barbershop quartet of Ackley.
And as Erland's watching, Graven is lying down and he hears a voice.
Come.
Oh, yes.
Graven's sort of lying there, is kind of half alert, sort of making sure that he can jump to if necessary.
Stop it. Like a crazy person.
Graven, reveal yourself to them. Why? You are an imperfect acolyte, Graven. A god requires penitence. They will give it to me, and then I will not be required to punish you for your lack of it.
Leave my companions out of it.
Reveal yourself to them.
And if I don't?
the uneasy alliance that we have struck, Graven. Every day we adapt. Reveal yourself.
Can Orba hear this? Him?
He's muttering to himself. You can hear a little bit of sound, but definitely not what he's saying.
Okay.
Who are they?
You get a response, and you hear the a little louder.
I'm gonna sit up.
And Erland, you see him. Erland's kind of watching. He sees Graven. So.
How close are they at this point?
I mean, probably less than 100 feet. But again, like it's a T. You're here, and they're moving along here. So yeah, it's not like they're not coming straight towards you.
Yeah,
moving along.
I'm just gonna give Graven one of trying to keep it small so they perhaps don't see me.
Yeah, sure. You guys are in the woods.
Go ahead.
I must speak to them.
What? Why? No, you mustn't.
Stay in the shadows for now.
Graven, should one of us come with
Do
you?
as I say, please.
Do what he says. No time for an argument.
Fine. What?
There's no time for an argument.
Give me another perception check as well.
Orba's gonna reach into her bag and palm her flower for a second.
It's fucking 6.
Thanks. Now the banner's closer, but the angle that it's at, you're seeing like the side of it, so it's hard to see what's on.
So I don't see the banner either.
Not yet. You haven't quite sort of gotten out there yet.
We'll stay close. We'll stay quiet.
I'm gonna step out into the path.
On the dry leaves, and you hear the.
Because I was sitting up just before Graven goes out there, can I sort of assume a perhaps more hidden position?
Like closer to the path?
No. Basically where I was, just because I know I was the one sitting up while everyone else was lying down. I want to make sure that I'm.
Yeah, if you're not getting closer, you can do that pretty
Okay,
easily.
great.
You're not getting closer. And they hear kind of the. As Graven moves through, comes out to the sort of more open area next to the river. And you see the man, and they kind of all stop. And you can see the banner now. You can't read what it says, but you recognize the script. It's written in Elvish, but you're not able to recognize it. And the man holds up his hand that isn't sort of holding onto the banner. And as you kind of look behind him, there's this older man, but then the 5 people behind him do look to be... What was there, some kind of something?
That was a Windows update?
Oh, maybe.
That's what it sounded like.
You see that the people behind him are much younger. Not children, but like in their 20s. Just definitely sort of this older man leading the younger people behind him. We are unarmed. We wish only to complete our pilgrimage.
To where?
Every 5 years, I lead a group on the week-long trek from Nolan's Woods to the Ackley Basin. It is a journey of self-discovery, where one eats naught but a scrap of bread each morning until the final sunrise. And as he's sort of saying that, you look over their faces, and they're, it doesn't look like they're unwillingly, but their faces are fairly gaunt. They look thin. I mean, it looks like they've been fasting, and, like he said, this sort of pilgrimage, and they're not eating. They're all sort of very, sort of humbly moving along, skinny.
How old's the man in the front?
At least 60-something years old, maybe older than that. He seems to sense your hesitance, and you haven't moved out of his way, and obviously he wants to move, so he appeals to you again. We do this every year, every 5 years, to honor the meddling gods. And that's a term that's familiar to you, the meddling gods. And it's used derogatory by some, but actually affectionately by others. And this term meddling gods is used to describe the gods that sort of directly influence the world, the material world that you live in. A lot of gods, the New Keltian gods, some of them, they can give you blessings and little things, but you have to pray for it. You have to ask for it. You have to pray to them, honor them. The meddling gods, like Kuuzni, will directly attempt to tell people to interfere in the world at large. So it's a category of gods, not one god in particular, but the meddling.
And they're using it like, we do this for the
Yes, he says we do that. Yes. He says we do this to honor the meddling gods. Nolan's Woods was once a place of great evil, a place of horrid corruption and depravity. But 400 years ago, a pact of the meddling gods came together, and they poured their divine power into the prophet Demasid, an unheard of alliance.
And Demosit tore through the woods with righteous fury and ripped the darkness from its roots. When he was done, he walked to the sea beyond the Ackley Basin without stopping, and he drowned himself, his purpose fulfilled. It is a commonly held belief that the meddling gods are among the least forgiving, and that may yet be true. But it is they who do not hesitate to act when the world needs it most. It is for this reason that the elders of the villages, in Nolan's woods, myself included, hold them in such high regard. We make this trek to honor the prophet Demosit and the gods he served.
I am Graven of Kuuzni.
And there's like a little...
Cleric of cleansing light and fire.
Is this true? A cleric of the great god of light? And he puts the banner down and he kneels. And the rest of them follow.
Oh my god.
And they kneel before you. And he looks up. This journey is truly blessed. Please, and he motions to the young ones behind him. Show them a sign, Cleric of Kuuzni.
I'll hold up my palm and just emit light out of
A sign of light. But please, show them a true miracle of Kuuzni.
Oh, God.
some fire.
Oh.
And I think I have. I'm supposed to pick targets
for
scorching ray.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just kind of fire them off into?
Yeah, I'll say that you can. Yeah.
All 3 fireballs
and they watch them go up into the air and fizzle out above you. He reaches back, he puts the banner down, he reaches back, he takes off the knapsack that he has on his back. He opens it up. This food is to be rationed until the completion of the trek. Upon reaching the water's edge, we feast. But we acknowledge that this was not how the prophet Demosit fared. Kuuzni sees this, and he has sent you to right us. And he dumps it's like a bunch of loaves of bread, a few other rations onto the ground. Kuuzni, purge these rations, and we will complete the journey as was intended, without sustenance. And as he's saying this, you can see the young ones behind him kind of looking at the food and then up at you. And we will sing your praises from soil to sand. The final leg of this trip, grove to basin, shall henceforth be known as Kuuzni's course. Your presence is to be feared and welcomed. And there's a little bit of whispering from behind him as they all kind of look on at the food. And, judging by where you are in the Ackley Basin, it's at least another 2 days, maybe a little more to the Ackley Basin.
to go without food.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of really under my breath. Is this what you want? For me to destroy their sustenance?
They have made an offering, Graven. Honor them.
I'm gonna kind of back away so that I'm about 15 feet from where the food is.
Yep.
Stand back.
And they all kind of move back a little bit.
Conjure a sheet of flame between my fingers and burning hands out to encompass it.
And as it pours over, you can see it, the bread just immediately blackening and turning into sort of ash and just charred little bits as it...
How much of this can we... Obviously, we can see the fire. How much can we hear? How much are we
Definitely hear nothing. They're speaking pretty... At one point when the guy said sort of, we are blessed, you sort of heard that.
not specifics of the conversation, but you definitely see the flashes of light. Yep. Both
Do we see that he's destroying their food?
Give me a perception check, because that was on the ground. It's a little hard
That's
to
also
see.
something we would kind of.
The flashes of light, I'll say you guys kind of sat up and looked over.
Dirty 20.
So you did. Erland's the closest to sort of the edge, and he was able to see him sort of dump the bread out onto the ground and sort of watched as Graven sort of lit it. And you see the man sort of, this is a blessed journey. Graven. That's inspiration.
Oh! Destroying their
Wow.
lives.
Dirty boy.
Dirty inspiration. Sweet.
Yo!
I don't have enough of them. The entire party has inspiration.
What?
As Kuzni,
What?
with your lack of meddling in his affairs.
What? Even I do?
And his acknowledgement that no one stopped Graven from doing so. Has bestowed
really thought
inspiration on the party. As this sort of happens, the whole party can kind of feel almost like a little lifting of energy in the group. It just passes in an instant. But something about the sort of the winds of change moving through, just feeling that something sort of watching over has sort of watched and blessed your journey. But you see the faces of the young ones behind him, sort of horrified, gaunt faces of these thin individuals as they sort of look on in sort of fear. And he goes back to his banner and he picks it back up and he steps up. Thank you. May we pass. Bless you.
Step out of the way.
And as he kind of walks by with a little confidence, a little vigor, he begins the hum again. And you can see each one as they walk by you, the young ones kind of look at you.
Did he give me his name? Did I ask his name?
No.
Just as he goes by.
Sure, yeah.
Your name.
Beor, Elder Lordswife, but you may call me Beor.
With the fire crackling, can I see the banner at this point?
The fire was just sort of a blast of flame. I'll say you get one more chance to take a look at it.
Come on, baby! Perception?
Yeah.
Oh my god! That's a natural one!
You don't see it as it goes. Again, the
Kuzni
angle-
didn't want me to see it.
Kuzni's like, "Eek," turns it the other way. But as he's walking by, it's very thin. You're just not able to
see
that.
So
and for a lot of it, he had it down, face down on the ground as well.
I saw that there was Elven, and what else was on it that I...
Just that it looked
Just
like it was
that,
like a
okay.
it was like a black banner with white writing in Elven. Couldn't
Okay.
Stop running.
You can see them kind of. They call back with a little sort of less enthusiasm this time.
Oh.
They continue on.
Slowly go back.
Are you okay?
At some point, after we've rested, you're gonna tell us what the hell just happened. Yeah?
Or is this one of those things you can't speak of?
We'll see.
We felt it.
You did. All of you.
What, you did something that pleased him, clearly.
Yes.
You're not gonna tell us what that was?
I think we saw what that was.
What, the fireballs in the sky? I didn't see what that was.
Oh.
Flashes of light. I mean, the light he rung through the. Yeah, you didn't see exactly what Graven was doing. But
He destroyed... He burnt up all of their rations.
Your god wanted you to do this? And Safira just kind of looks up at the sky and, like, takes a second to, like,
Do you know what would have
kind of, like, turn herself around, like...
Do you know what would have happened if you didn't?
I have a
They
good
were-
guess.
What's the guess, Tiefling?
Would they have hurt you?
Maybe.
Well,
I still draw my power from him. I still need him.
Understood.
You all felt it? Even you? Let's see if we can do some good with these gifts. I'll lay down.
Perception checks for everybody as they make their watches.
Can I basically rest for an extra hour and?
Yes. Do you not get your stuff back during a long rest?
Is that what you were saying? I want to use.
Oh,
two
God.
hit
Yes.
dice.
Yes. Then you you can take the extra time to do so. Yes.
It's 1d8. Yeah, baby.
So you're making how many are you rolling?
3, 6 and 3. 9.
And again, for those at home, why don't you read?
Oh yeah, sorry. I rolled a 7 and a 4, but because I have negative constitution, that is less. So I have a thing. I'm doing. Erland's going to spend about an hour, sort of doing some breathing exercises. So when I take a short rest, you may take a few moments to quietly perform your breathing exercise. In doing so, you may roll any or all hit dice you have available. I had 2 left. Instead of healing, and add those totals to your pool of discipline. When your pool of discipline reaches 50, it resets to 0, and you may find that you gain mastery of new sepsis skills or enhancements of ones you already know.
Erland has these sort of nature-based powers, and these breathing exercises help unlock potentially.
I'm at 9 of 50.
New druidic powers, myconidic powers.
Alright, so I used up 2 of those.
Myconidic is terrible. That's not a word. That shouldn't work.
Sure. In this universe, yeah.
It doesn't sound good though, does it?
So then, you need my perception check.
Yes. And we'll go in order of watches.
Oh, I was the last watch.
7.
That's the one roll.
11.
19.
12.
6.
And I would like to do something.
I would also like to do something.
Oh, everyone's got plans?
I never
Y'all
do
are
this shit.
scheming?
He always
I'm just
does.
gonna refill my jacket.
Done.
Beep.
Yeah, you take a moment to refill the jacket. Erland's first. You wait for them to kind of get into bed.
Yeah.
Erland's sort of taking a moment to fall asleep. You wait until you're confident.
I just want to wait to basically the end of my watch.
Okay.
And I don't know who was supposed to be after me. Who was supposed to be after me?
Beezaura.
So I'm gonna wake up Graven instead.
Okay.
You?
Balls. Sorry.
No incidents. You get to the end of your watch.
Oh, she saved. Okay.
Yeah, just at the end of my watch. Goliath. I'm switching up the order a bit, but I wanted a word first.
What?
A word in private.
Go on.
You've expressed that you felt blackouts, memory loss, and I know you can't speak much about it. And I know that you've indicated in some way that... Do you have a history of myconid use, Goliath?
No.
Does that seem true to me?
Make an insight check.
That's a good guess. 11?
You can't tell.
I hadn't thought of it prior, but when you told me you had encountered creatures in the past, some experience with it, and now we've been finding out that memory loss and blackouts are a symptom of type B. You came to mind.
Mine are divine in nature.
So you're not at all worried about re-exposure to myconid?
No. Are you?
Am I worried about you being re-exposed to myconid?
Oh god.
No, Erland.
Am I worried about being exposed to myconid?
I think the word you used was re-exposed.
What are you asking? If you're going to ask, be clear in your ask.
I'm asking you the same question you asked me. Do you have a history with myconid extract? How long has it been?
A very long time.
Do you desire it now?
I don't know. Part of why I ask is because I've seen what it does and what it can do, both in the hands of people who use it well and in the hands of those who don't. And despite our differences, I would worry about you if you had used in the past and were experiencing symptoms.
It doesn't interest me. Using it, I should say.
I'm not talking about using again. I'm talking about having used in the past and how it can come back and hurt you, as we're finding out with these. That's why I ask.
I have no memory of using it or desiring it.
That makes sense.
If you find yourself tempted at any point and you need
Doesn't
help, just say.
your discretion on this, yes? This doesn't pertain to the group.
Does it?
It doesn't.
Well, if it remains in the past, I suppose it doesn't pertain.
Exactly.
Very well.
Thank you. Your watch.
Who's after me then?
Beezaura, I guess.
Switch things around. Beezaura's like, what?
Like, am I late?
Graven's watch goes by without incident. And you move over to wake Beezaura.
I'm just gonna wake her up and shrug. and lay that down.
I thought. Erland.
Yeah! Beezaura. Before she even finishes the sentence.
Anything?
No, I'm just gonna.
Tinker with your jacket.
Just fill it up.
Your watch goes by. Move over to Orba.
Orba. You're next.
Okay. Good night.
Night.
Okay. Alright, so Orba's gonna sit for maybe like 15 minutes, make sure everything's okay. And then she's gonna take her flower. She's gonna hold it real tight. She's gonna sit for a second and focus. Kuuzni. I don't know if you can hear me, whether it is because I am holding this specific item or because I am not your Goliath. But if you can hear me, hear this. You can spare me your generosities. I only do things for Graven, not for you.
Hold the flower as you say this. And you start to feel your hands tighten around the stem. And your hands vibrate a little. And you hear sort of your auditory senses start to blend together into a sort of vibration that rings through your ears and it mars your surroundings. And you feel a great heat come over you. Almost like a summer's day, suddenly in an instant. You can see even beads of sweat moving down your arms. And then it stops. And a single petal of the flower falls off. and goes and he takes your inspiration away. Someone want this instead of... This is the real inspiration. Who has one of the tokens?
We have them over here.
Here, take the
Orba takes her inspiration and puts it on the pillow.
Only
Under her pillow?
Fine.
You see the petal fall? Looks like there's about 7 petals left on the flower, if you're counting.
All right.
Give enough inspiration and petals just to make a point. Tiefling?
You crazy teenager, you.
Did I feel it? I'm in my sleep. I got nothing. Okay, great.
That's another no. That's another no.
Sees the petal and feels less inspired.
You look down to see it, and like as soon as it hit the ground, it starts to wilt. It turns from that whitish color instantly to like a mushy brown and curls up.
I believe we understand each other. She'll continue with her watch.
The rest of your watch goes by, unencumbered. You go to the final watch.
Hi. Hello. Your turn.
Yep. I kind of like give her a little look, see her little flower. You do still have your little flower out when you wake me up?
Sure.
You lost a petal on your flower.
Oh, you're very good at math.
I guess. Would I not notice that?
Give me a perception.
It feels like I would notice. It depends on what kind of a flower I guess.
It's like when a petal's off, it doesn't have so many petals. Like there's a little gap.
That's what I
but
mean.
give me a
Is like
perception
I
check.
feel like I would.
I'm not saying that that's impossible, but you have to give it a good look.
Oh, 10.
10? I'll say that you do notice. If she's holding it when she wakes you, yeah.
I'll remove my snarky comment.
There wasn't that many petals on it.
Yes, it seems it got damaged during the fight with the Sahuagins.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing I guess undead don't come through these forests. Just really quickly before you go back to sleep, I don't know if we'd find one on a path, and I know that you are, on a hurry, right, to get up to Navikapura, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not interested in killing that chimera unless we talk to Graven in a soul shelter before.
Okay. I might need...
You're dropping a lot on
First talking about my flower, and then we're talking about soul.
That's a lot to process at the moment, but
No,
I
It's
understand.
because of what happened just now. You understand?
Yes, I think I fully understand the weight of a task like that.
So, I know he's touchy about the subject. I bring it up to you because he trusts you more than he trusts me, certainly, and I think anyone else in this group. And there might be some doing in terms of convincing around getting him to walk into a place like that, if we can even locate one, which might, be a real process of doing. But I'm just saying, before we make it up to accomplish his mission, I think the only way that we do that safely, well, there is no way that we do that safely, but the only way that I will participate in that is if we can have a conversation where I know he can be honest.
Okay.
It's not even that I don't trust him. And Safira just kind of looks up and goes silent.
I would like to possibly draw parallels between you and Graven, where you were, at one point in your life, trapped under a command.
Oh yes, believe me, that parallel hasn't, been lost on me.
Yes. Well, imagine that going on for
That's why I need to speak to him in a soul shelter.
decades. He has been trapped for decades.
Good, let's get him out then.
I don't know who you're mad at, me or Graven. You seem mad.
Neither.
I'm trying to read your face and it looks mad.
I'm not mad at either of you.
Okay, good night.
Bedroll. Yeah.
She goes back, like, I'm asleep now, can't talk.
Fake snores.
Safira begins her watch. And the sort of light is just starting to come, sky getting and again you're seeing it through the canopy of the tree, getting just a little touch of blue between the black. And the humid air isn't doing you any favors as you sort of struggle to maintain alertness in this unfamiliar territory. The sounds that once made it hard to settle down, some hooting of owls, splashing of the river, rustling of leaves, they fade into the back of your mind, become the filler between your thoughts. Back in the wilderness, after just a brief stay in civilization, sister cities, Mukmu and Tuktu, and your chest you think about it and your chest instinctually tightens as you recall those who make the wilds a more appealing option than civilization, the sinister or at least cagey presence of Duffy Geiss, Wesley Vipe, Errol Hendry. But you breathe. And you remember the good ones, the ones that even if it's in their own small way, they exist to help and to heal. Cameron Yannick. Wadu. Michael Ainsley. You take stock of how carefully you've had to craft your notion of trust, how your circle of who you do and don't is complicated by how they draw their circle, and how the people they trust draw their circle, and so on, and so on, until you can only start to... What was that? Your stream of consciousness ends, and you come back to the party, sleeping soundly. Beezaura rolls over with kind of a heavy inhalation. In her bedroll, crinkling beneath her. Orba has their bedding pulled up tight around her, making a good show of proper bundling technique. And Erland is in kind of a deep, relaxing slumber, while their quarterstaff inches slowly away from them. You straighten up at the unusual sight, to find that you may have sort of drifted off or at least lost focus for a moment. And you see other objects mysteriously relocated, sort of in an easterly direction toward the river. Grimari's giant grimoire. The bamboo plant from the Natural Studies Institute that Orba had in her bag. Your bow. Some healing potions. The spell book that Orba was gifted by Jillian. And like ants at a picnic, the items seem to be slowly moving away.
Oh my god!
So slowly it virtually makes no sound at all. With incredible camouflage that even at less than 15 feet away is difficult to distinguish, you see a number of very small, leafy creatures gripping your group's belongings and moving backward with these tiny sort of 3-digit webbed hands, almost like that of a frog.
That's not yours! You can't have
You assume that the one that you're staring at, who currently has Erland's quarterstaff in its hands, is staring back at you, but its eyes have no pupil or iris. It's just a pair of shining black spheres, a kind of, as its eyes open up and look back at you. A tuft of mossy-looking fur atop its head, and a lack of discernible nose adds to its kind of absurd ugliness. But you make sure to note the short spear it has clutched by its side, very small, and it has one hand on Erland's quarterstaff and the other one on its spear. And given their uncanny ability to blend in with their surroundings, it wouldn't surprise you if there was quite a few more lurking nearby, because all of these objects are sort of dispersed throughout the campsite.
What a way to wake up.
And it stops, and again, it kind of, with sticky eyes, sort of opens and closes, and you see the one.
And I kind of, it's not yours! And I kind of try to...
Are you shouting that?
Yeah.
Everybody give me perception checks.
If I lose GG,
Fucking natural one.
I'm leaving.
16.
22.
16.
Everyone but Orba sort of bolts up at the shouting of Safira's voice. What are you doing right now?
I'm going to try to grab the grimoire.
Okay.
Can I reach
As
for
you
that?
start to reach out, all the other items start to move away, and you see them, again, they're so well camouflaged in the leaf, they're kind of covered in this dry, leafy texture, and they start to shuffle away. You reach for the book. Give me a dexterity check. Straight dexterity.
We get on
The
the rest.
book? That's what you're gonna go for? The book?
Is that cocked or is that...
Fuck.
Book has
That's
nothing.
13.
You do, because you were the first.
16.
Yes, so you do.
16.
16. You reach out and you snatch it, and it sees you, and you're clearly much larger than it. The creature looks like it's maybe 1.5 feet big, maybe even smaller, and it just lets go, and it sort of shuffles off, but all the other items are like moving slowly around.
Before, can I just roll my healing girdles and take
Yes,
my
go
long
ahead and
rest?
roll that. Yeah.
Hell yeah, it rejuvenates to full.
Do we have all of our spell slots and everything? Do we get a full rest?
Only Erland did because he's had the full one. Now, if this encounter takes less, this is the ruling in the thing. If this all takes less than I think it's like a half hour or something, it won't interrupt if you go back to sleep and finish, it won't interrupt the long rest. But you do not have the benefits of the long rest right now.
Shit! So I've already used.
Okay, can
We do have a short rest though.
You can take the benefits of a short rest, for your draft.
Okay, so then
Can I try and grab my quarterstaff?
Yes, make a dexterity check.
I don't know how many I have.
Check or save? Sorry.
2.
check.
Check, just a straight dexterity check.
No.
8. You reach out, and the creature kind of moves a little quicker, and they're making kind of a clicking noise. They kind of, and they pull the items, and they're all shifting.
At this point,
you're up. I need everybody to roll initiative. Orba, you're going to roll, but you're not going to come in until the second round as all this is kind of happening, and you're waking up to the sound of it.
My rolls are worse, I promise.
Wow.
That's unbelievable. I haven't rolled.
I'm so
Except
mad.
for when there was one thing you rolled good on me for. It
Oh,
was
the
to
perception
see,
check.
To see that
That's
I was
my
burning the
only
food.
good roll.
Yeah, that was the only good
Everything
roll you
else has
had.
been sub 10.
Okay, Erland.
8.
Yeah. Safira. 16. Graven.
12.
Beezaura.
12.
I love that you woke up and yelled, "That's not yours." That's how we're gonna solve this problem.
That's just the first thing that came to my mind. just
Hey.
put that down. That's not
Hey,
that doesn't
no.
belong to you. They're just so weird looking and cute with their little spears and their.
They're not
Listen
cute, they're
to
taking my
this.
shit.
They're
Goofy,
adorable.
discordant music.
Yeah, I was gonna say this weird ass.
We are fighting Deku scrubs from like Majora's Mask right now.
Oh my god.
Just doing this.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh jeez.
So that is the edge of the route. So your campsite was just off the river. It was like right here.
So I'm joining around later.
Safira and Erland are on the closest part.
Jeez.
Zara.
What does inspiration do again? Just
You can
like my-
reroll.
I'm
You
not
can re-roll anything you want.
Anything.
Yep, any roll you may re-roll.
My healing
What did,
girdle's at full.
And
These little dipshits
It's at
do.
full girdle.
Your girdle is full.
My girdle is so full.
you can put 14 for the Veggie-Pygmies.
Excuse you?
Veggie-Pygmies.
Oh my god, I need one!
Fucking VeggieTales.
Oh my god,
14, Matt?
14, yeah.
how could I ever have swatted at one of these? They're so weird.
So you see a few
They're
of
gonna-
them.
I know.
They're gonna kill us.
They're not gonna kill us. Are you
These
kidding
cute
me?
Veggie-Pygmy, they haven't rested. You and I are the only ones that have rested.
Okay, no, I haven't. I didn't get. You were the
Safira-
only one that got benefits of a full rest.
Wait,
I
what
did
did
not.
I
Yeah,
do?
No,
Maybe
Safira
Safira would be
who's
the
got
only
full
one.
rest.
Yes,
Ooh,
you would
yeah.
have been just staying up.
Sorry, I was thinking the wrong one.
So I
Safira's
actually,
the only one who has the
I
full
actually
rest.
could talk.
Do I get to keep
these
my
guys then if I
roll on
wanted
this
to.
later?
I'll say just based on looking at them, they're not animals. They're not beasts.
Oh,
if that's what
okay,
you're
so I
thinking.
can't
Yeah.
talk to them.
Does my roll to rejuvenate my healing girdle go away then?
You can mark down that that's what it was, but you don't have it.
Okay, great.
Yes, but we'll keep you rolled well. We'll keep the roll.
Okay. That means I also have. Okay.
This music, dude.
I did the short rest though, so I have my key points back.
Yes.
Okay. That sucks. We're fine.
I can.
One of those.
Are we fully
Ready?
initiatived?
Yes.
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 Well, that is where we are going to end.
He set the whole thing up.
Aren't
just
you
like-
glad I
Wanted to
got
get
the
ready.
grim one?
I
Because
just wanted
that
you to
would've
get
been
sneak
so
peek.
bad.
So there's a
I
bunch
was
of
even gonna say that
trees.
the compass is underneath, but it
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
matter.
I don't know if it matters as much. So these are all tree trunks that they look short. They go up higher. Those just to denote the trees. These
I jump
are like,
over one.
These are like piles of sort of either underbrush or leaves or things that are bigger than the creatures. The implication being that you saw a couple of them kind of pop out or hide in the leaves.
Can I just say, it makes me so fucking nervous that this guy is all the way over here.
By the water?
What does this guy have?
So you
Who
can already
has
tell
what?
that a bunch
they
of
already
items.
have- they've stolen
What
it.
They
is-
already have it, so
What
we
have we
have to go get
seen?
these guys. They already have our stuff.
Just the things you said?
Just the things I said so
Like, one of them
far.
has
You
my
haven't
bow.
checked all your belongings yet. But yes.
I
Erland's
think
quarterstaff is
motherfuckers have
walking
my bow.
away.
I was gonna say I didn't think I heard anything of mine.
Healing
that you know of.
Right.
Yeah, but yes. You were able to grab. Did I said that? Yeah.
yes,
you were able
I
to grab
grabbed
GGG.
GGG.
Wrench that from its hands.
So write down
we don't need
somewhere,
that.
or I should write down
Where's
have
the bishop?
GGG.
I'm
that
sorry.
I have GGG like in my hand.
So that is where we'll
might
pick
be
it up
so-
next
we
time
might be sinking in the river at this point.
with a couple of thieving veggie-pygmies.
Like, come on.
Give me. It sounds like a delicious
Veggie
will-
pygmy?
You're eating veggie pygmy for
I will
breakfast.
burn this forest with the
Light it
cleansing
up.
light of gold.
only you were red forest fire.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that's where we'll pick it up next
I guess
time.
it's time for me to do this then.
Yeah, bling bling bling.
Yeah, have a good Halloween.
Meow, meow, meow,
Yeah,
meow.
beach. Oh.
See you on November 1st.
Yeah.
Oh my god, really?
When it's
All
like
Hallows
after
Day.
Halloween.
We're all coming in full costume today, yes?
I will.
We're all coming as veggie-pygmies.
We're coming as veggie pygmies.
Yes.
Never.
Thank you guys so much for
I
joining
actually
us.
have good wear for that.
As always, an exciting time to leave off, and
Be alive.
and when we come back, we'll see what they have and have not stolen
My goodness.
in the nighttime.
Please have like 3 HP. Please.
If they took a
They're
chess
pretty
piece,
small.
I will this.
Oh shit!
How
That's like
targeted
on
are
me,
they?
though.
Oh, did they take a chess piece?
That's like in me.
That's on your back. That's in
They
your
took-
bag.
you keep those
so-
Keep them
Where do you keep them?
Where do you keep them?
She's keeping them up her
Yeah,
butt.
your
That's
bags
all.
might have been close to you, but these things are very sneaky. That's sort of.
Just saying, they got
Very-
GGG.
Yeah, they can
I
take things out of your
sleep with
bag.
GGG.
No, they can take things out of your bag while you're.
I
not
cannot.
paying attention.
Oh, this is scary.
I might have to like duct tape them to my body.
Have your page?
How targeted is Scorching Ray, and would it hit a veggie pygmy and not the book it was holding?
You see one of them is like,
No.
I can read this.
Do not fire! Don't burn these things! Are you kidding me? You're gonna light all our stuff on fire!
It's also very dry leaves and
Yeah, dude,
twigs
you're gonna
and things
create
on
a
the
huge
ground.
forest fire in
Right.
the sacred forest. We're gonna have all these
All
elves.
those weird elves.
Weird elves are gonna come with their owl heads out of the forest and come chasing after us.
Awful.
Great stream, everybody. Some good sort of adventures along the Ackley River. And we'll pick it up here next
I
time.
rate this as
Can I
stressed
roll
out of 10.
over? Still
This
can't.
stream was a stressful out of 10.
Oh my god, you really?
Ooh,
Oh, there we
very
go. Alright, curse is broken.
Curse is broken, man.
There we go. Curse
All right.
is broken for
Sorry,
next.
that's
Thank you guys so much for joining
Yeah,
us.
thank you
Come
so
back
much.
next week, same time, 7 o'clock, and we will pick it up here on the edge
Oh
of the river.
boy.
Oh yeah.
Doing it.
Thank you guys so much. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Later. In the river.